Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Friday weekly Ask Me Any Stock session. I think some of you have already joined us and you are early. If you guys can see and hear me loud and clear, you can also see the screen right now. Just type a GM for good morning. Let me just acknowledge all of you. I think some of you have already joined us. You are waiting to begin this exciting session. Just want to acknowledge all of you. Hi, we have good morning. We have Wang Song Ho over here today. Good morning as well. Hi, good morning, Vincent. Welcome back, Bervyn. Yes, Bervyn is back. Today is full strength. All right, we have three of us over here. Good morning as well. Winkit, hi. Let's see, we have Rick over here, Alan, Joseph. Hi, Marto. Hi, Madam Tan. Hi, Esther. Good morning. Bosana Nova, DBS, right? Asking about the Singapore stocks that you guys want. Energized Mood, every Friday you're here. Thank you so much for joining us again. David, good morning. John, good morning. Lenny, good morning. Ellen, Rachel, Chi Leong, good morning as well. Well, welcome guys. It seems like today we have quite a lot of you joining us, and let's get started. All right, today Ask Me Any Stocks session, and today we'll be back to the Singapore market. So you have been joining us, all right, over the past few sessions. Well, since the beginning of 2025, we have been beginning this Ask Me Any Stock session, right? So we alternate between the Singapore market and the US market. So last Friday was actually US market. Me and Z ran the show. Today we are back to full strength, all right, and it is back to the Singapore market. Next Friday, back to the US. So what is this session about? Well, essentially, if you're joining us for the very first time, my name is Joey Choy, top tier reminder trader in Hldg Securities, one of the top brokers in Hldg Securities, doing this for more than a decade now, all right, focusing on stocks, US stocks, Singapore stocks. That's my forte. And yeah, we pretty much service our clients in Hldg Securities as well, right? So later, when we go through your stocks, we will go ahead to use my one good trend strategy, whereby I also teach people, all right, on this strategy and how we have a tool or an indicator, all right, to guide us on when to get in and when to get out, right? Not just blindly follow, but we have a checklist to follow. Once we get some confirmations from the bullish signals, we can think about getting in. If we see a bearish signal, we can think about getting out, right? So we'll share more about it in later, all right, step by step. But essentially, today we'll be, covering what we call the stocks that you guys are asking about. So I'll do a quick market outlook very quickly, all right, and then we'll go on to dive into the Singapore stocks that you guys want a quick opinion on very quickly. All right, I'll do it first. I'll pass on the mic to Bervyn and then Z, and we'll just do round robin style. We try to cover as many as more than 15 over stock each time, and at the end, all right, you want to make sure you stay all the way to the end now. Why? Because after covering your Singapore stocks, right, then at the end, each of us, all right, will share one Singapore stock that you want to put in your watch list, whereby there could potentially be more upside. In fact, many of those stocks that we've shared over the past few sessions have gone up by quite a fair bit, 5-figure, 10-20%. All right, you want to watch this stock, you want to put it in your watch list because it is in our watch list, right? And there could be even more upside as well. All right, Ken. So that is what will happen at the end. Stay all the way to the end if you pretty much want to know our top stocks, all right, that we are actually looking at. All right, so would it be okay, guys, if you help me to like and share? All right, for those of you who are just joining us, welcome to this Ask Me Any Stock session. Help us to like and share. This video. That will be really, really helpful. All right, and of course, if you like and share as well, this post will be on your profile, so you can easily watch the replay if you miss any of the stocks. And also, we'll give you more priority. All right, we'll give you a little bit more priority. And make sure you subscribe to our YouTube. So we are live on Facebook as well on YouTube. So if you're not yet subscribed or followed our channel, make sure you do it so that when we go live in the future, you will be alerted as well. All right. Okay. So let's get started right now. Right. Today, I have with me one of my team as well, Bervyn. Bervyn is here. He has missed out the past few AMAS session due to national service duties, right? Helping out at the NDP National Day Parade. Some of you who are at the parade might have bumped into him, all right? But Bervyn is back here today, all right? One of the top brokers under me in Hldg Securities, assisting me for more than 4 to 5 years now, running our group coaching sessions, assisting our team with the one-on-one mentee session as well, assisting our team's portfolio manager as well. And Bervyn is what we call an expert in fundamental as well as technical, right? He is a chartered financial analyst, CFA. So if you're looking at anything investment, all right, fundamentals of Bervyn is the guy to go to. I do consult him on certain things as well on the fundamentals of the stock, right? So Bervyn, maybe let me just pass on the mic to you to share a little bit of yourself, or maybe on today as well.
All right, thanks, Joey. First of all, feels good to be back. I mean, after 5 weeks of not being on these AMAS, I think. Bear with me if there's any technical difficulties today. Hopefully, there isn't any technical difficulties on my end today. So, I mean, a little bit about myself. So, I've been with Joey's team, I think, past 5 years now already. So, I think, like Joey said, I'm a chartered financial analyst, charter holder. So, what does that mean? Just I spend a lot of time looking at company fundamentals. But I also believe that technical analysis and fundamental analysis have to go hand in hand together. You cannot just buy a stock anyhow. You need to have an entry, you need to have an exit. So that's where the 1GT framework or the 1GT indicators come into play very strongly for us. So I think in this session, I think we will try to cover as much stocks as possible, as Joey said. So, but do help us by giving us a little bit of context so we can better give our opinion as well. All right, so pass the time back to Joey to continue on this session. Joey?
All right, thank you so much. So basically, as I say, we'll be using the one good trend strategy, right? Where me, Bervyn, and Zee are all very proficient at. All right, we know exactly, why every single bullish signal appears. All right, when we go through and analyze your stock as well. All right, we know about this strategy. All right, and pretty much we utilize this strategy for all our trades, all our positions as well. All right, so that's what we'll do. All right, but having said that, it doesn't mean that we do not look at the fundamentals as well. I feel that if the fundamentals, like what Bervyn mentioned, right, is strong, plus technically is strong, it's two pluses, right? It's better than one plus, and right. So we look at both as well. All right. Okay. So now let me pass on the mic to Zee. All right, Zee is right here as well. Zee is also one of the top brokers under me in Philips Securities. Helping our clients in Philips Securities, running our group coaching sessions, running our one-on-one call with our mentees, and also assisting our team's portfolio manager as well. And Zee is what we call the go-to person for anything technical analysis, right? She's a chartered market technician, CMT. So anything to do with charts, right? Of course, with the one good trend strategy, she's a pro in it as well. But not just that, but she's a pro in anything to do with charts, whether it's price action, candlestick, patterns, whatever, right? She's the go-to person, and I do consult her as well in some of those things, right? So Zee, maybe I can just pass on the mic to you to share a little bit on yourself.
All right, thanks Joey for the introduction. Hi everyone, my name is Zee. So for those who are new here, a little info about me is that, I'm a big fan of charts, right? Like what Joey mentioned, big fan of charts and trends, have been with Joey for about close to 4.5 years now. And, my philosophy is always simple, to break things down in the simplest way possible so that you can take action without, overcomplicating things. So I hope you guys that have joined us last week, right, you enjoy your National Day long weekend, right? So now that, the fireworks are maybe a bit over, so the thing is that what we want to do now is maybe to look for fireworks in the charts, right? So today we'll be focusing on the Singapore market, and later on we'll be using Joey's 1GT Pro indicator, right, to actually spot those strong trending stocks without the noise. All right, so back over to you, Joey, to actually kickstart today's session.
All right, thank you so much. Let's get started right now. All right, just a quick disclaimer. Whatever that's being shared in today's or all the session, right, essentially, it's just for education purposes. So please do your own due diligence, right? It's not really to ask you to buy or sell anything. Just to give you guys an opinion based on my strategy, all right, what we've been using, the tools that we're using, and perhaps it would help you as well, right? So if you want to find a little bit more in terms of the entire strategy, the framework, or maybe even use the tools or the indicator that we are using, you can attend one of those free webinars, right? So team, maybe you can just place the link in the chat right now. So today we don't have time to explain the whole strategy, right? But if you want to find a bit more, we have one last final online training next Tuesday on the 19th of August. The link is right in the chat. Attend it. All right, and that's where we'll share a bit more on the entire framework. Today will be just pump, right? We just go through your stocks very quickly. All right, so quick disclaimer, please do your own homework. It's not meant to ask you to buy or sell anything. All right. Okay, so let's go on to look at the markets. How many of you want me to go through like maybe the STI, the Singapore market, since we are looking at Singapore stocks today? This type S for STI, guys. If you want me to go ahead to cover what we call the Singapore market, let me know. Just type S for STI. Let me know. All right, before we dive into the Singapore stocks. Let's see, we have David S, hi, LS as well, Bad Guan, Winkit, S, STI. All right, so very good. So that's what we do, right? So I think today we're looking at Singapore stocks. So why not just take a look at the Straits Times index, right? Pretty much the index, right, for the Singapore market that have been doing really well, all right, over the past, I would say, 2 over months. So this is the STI right here. Very quickly, you can see that I've already turned on my one good trend pro indicator. So this is the market, right? As I say, right, we have this tool, right over here called the One Good Trend, right? So the name of the strategy that I've been using, right, for more than a decade now is called One Good Trend. In short, it's 1GT, all right? And based on this strategy, we have an indicator, right? The One Good Trend Pro indicator, whereby on any stocks, any asset classes, even the market, I mean, this STI, we are able to turn on bullish and bearish signals, all right? Based on this strategy in seconds. Let me show you what I mean, right? So I will turn it on, let me just turn it off, off, on, and there we go, right? So in a matter of seconds, you get an opinion whether to buy or sell based on the bullish or bearish signals. Does it make sense? All right, so if you see like a red bearish signal, then I think you want to be careful before you go and buy, right? But if you see a green bullish signal, don't you think you'll be a bit more confident, right, to take a buy trade? Does it make sense? All right, so this is the STI. Let's take a look, right? So very quickly, you can see that for STI, we got a bullish signal here in August. I'll not go too far, but somewhere in April as well last year, pump, right? There we go. In fact, after the sell down, there was a bearish signal in April. Trump introduced tariffs, right? We sold off after the bearish signal, you see all the way down. A week later, we got a new 1GT bullish signal. So this 1GT bullish signal will be one of those very powerful confirmation of getting back in or riding the reversal. And we have talked about it in our weekly, the past few weekly session over the past few months, right? We talk about the reversal, it's ongoing. That's one powerful confirmation. But we do look at other confirmation as well. So essentially, we have what we call a 7-point checklist, right? If we see a bullish signal, plus we see this, plus we see this, plus we see this, then it's like, wow, a very high conviction kind of trade lah. Does it make sense, right? But if you see this a bullish signal, then other things don't really confirm that move, then maybe wait a while first. Does it make sense, right? So that is the kind of like the strategy, right? It's not just a bullish signal, but of course this bullish signal would be a very good indication of some strength coming back, and you can see the reversal for the entire market actually started, right, all the way up, all the way. And what happens finally? We got a bearish signal, 1GT bearish signal coming out, I would say about 2 weeks back on the Thursday, last Thursday, right, 31st of July. So that would be last Thursday, right? So about 2 weeks back, we got a bearish signal. So when we get a bearish signal, yeah, I mean, it just shows that some selling is coming back, right? It doesn't mean it's going to crash or what, it just means that some selling is coming back. There's just one confirmation whereby we may be seeing some signs of weakness. But if you look at other confirmation, well, the longer term trend for the STI obviously is still up. Look at the red and the blue line. Longer term trend has been up since like last year, right? No issue, right? So longer term trend is up, doesn't mean the short term cannot be down. Short term can be down, man. Look at this, right? In April, over here, down, right? Oh, look at this, right? Something like here, April, we got a bearish signal, down, right? Somewhere in August last year, down, right? Sideways. So now down like 1-2 weeks, but a new bullish signal actually appeared again, right? So look at this, right? Over the past few days, we got another 1GT bullish signal coming out, and the green 20 days moving average line that represents the short-term trend. It was like going up from May, up slightly, up even more. Now I would say still maybe flattening out, maybe pointing up. So up to flat lah, I would say, but not down lah. Does it make sense? All right, so it's a bit more flat to up. So we are maybe in a bit of a consolidation phase, slightly up, slightly flat from this support level. So support-wise, I would say it will be at 4,200, 4,200, all the way to 4,280, 4,280. But you can keep it simple. You can just put 4,300. So that is kind of like the range, right? 4,200 to 4,300, right? 4,200 to 4,300. We are pretty much moving sideways now. So I think as long as we stay above 4,200, right, or maybe even 4,150, it looks okay. We are probably taking a rest after the massive rally from May and June to July. All right, we have gone up by about how many percent? Let's see, right? So when we got this first reversal signal coming out over here, right, in April to here, I would say about a 16% in the market over 2 months. Pretty good, right? I mean, it's a pretty good rally, I would say, for the STI over the past 2 months. So I think now it's healthy to see what we call a bit of a consolidation, a bit of it taking a breather, resting a while first before attempting to break the 4,300. And that's where potentially targets for the entire STI can be revised even higher, maybe all the way to 4,004 to maybe even 4,005. And yeah, we may even see a new 1GT bullish signal that can lead the next phase up, right? That can lead the next phase up. So anybody can help me out, right? Why do you think, I mean, of course, there's some news on tariffs and all that stuff, right? On Donald Trump announcing kind of like the deadline for between US and China, the trade deal being made, extending for about 90 days. And, you know, there's trade deals being made with other countries as well. But in the Singapore front, not really on the US, but in the Singapore front, what are some of the key reasons why we are seeing quite a bit of strength in the Singapore stocks? Not just the big caps, but also the small to even the mid cap. Just type in the chat, guys. Help me out here. For those of you who have been following the news, why do you think we're seeing some strength over the past 1 to 2 months, you know, in the Singapore market, right? What is the news that came out? Type in the chat, right? Let me see, right? So help me out here, those of you, let's make a guess, right? Why do you think that, you know, we were seeing a bit of strength in the market over the past, like, you know, few months? Let's see who is, let's see, Wingate, MES, $5 billion scheme, right? Yes, indeed, right? That is definitely one of the news, right? In fact, I want to share that as well. Let me go ahead to share with you guys this news that came out in case you have not heard of it before. I did a video on YouTube as well talking about this, right? So essentially, what happens is that the government, right, essentially MAS are taking steps to revitalize the market, right? Injecting a lot of funds into the market, right? Kind of like selecting fund managers, right? Deploying the funds into Singapore stocks. So let me just show you this right over here. They call it the Equity Market Development Program, right? So you look at this, maybe we have like Channel News Asia, look at this, right? MAS appoints 3 asset managers to invest part of $5 billion fund to support the Singapore market. So the asset managers will initially manage $1.1 billion, and MAS is still reviewing submissions from other applicants. So total earmarked $5 billion. Right now, they only have chosen 3 fund managers, right, asset managers, and they have allocated 1.1 billion. So this could just be at the beginning phase. All right. So these asset managers, kind of like, you know, okay, let's see right over here, right? Avanda Investment Management, Fullerton Fund Management, JP Morgan as well are the first 3 managers to be appointed. All right. And yeah, so there's strong interest in this equity market development program. Essentially, the whole purpose of this, right? Okay, like what National Development Minister Cheong Tat is saying, right? Let's see, right? Yeah. In particular, the fund strategy should have a clear focus on improving liquidity, all right, and broadening participation in Singapore equities, right, with significant allocation to small and mid-cap stocks. So this, they want to, you know, kind of like inject more liquidity, not just into the big caps, the banks, DBS and all that, but also the small and mid-cap stocks. And that's exactly how this news is, you know, pushing a lot of a positive sentiment, I would say, in the market, right? Let's see, right? So we have this news coming out, right? So you can read about this, right? And I would say that is some of the key reasons why we've seen quite a lot of strength in the Singapore market, right? So it's only 1.1 billion. That could be the beginning. There's still another $3.8 billion, all right? That MAS will allocate to a few more fund managers after, you know, reviewing their proposals and see whether it fits with their mandate as well, all right? So that is the STI. So thank you so much, right? Thank you so much for just kind of like typing the chat as well. Government feels switch to inject money. All right, government support, government intervention. Very good, very good. Okay, now let's go ahead to cover, right, the Singapore stocks that you guys want a quick opinion on. So very simple, guys. Let me just go to read through all the stocks right now. If you're just joining us, guys, welcome. All right, welcome to the Ask Me Any Stock session, and today will be Singapore market, right? My name is Joey Choy, top-tier advisor, trader in Philips Securities. I've been doing stocks for more than a decade now, all right, analyzing stocks from my One Good Trend strategy, right? So right now, I'm going to go through all the stocks, right? We'll try to pick the most popular one. I'll go first, and I'll pass on the mic to Bervyn and then to Zee. So type in the chat, guys. What are the Singapore stocks you want covered today? Let me go through it and pick the very first one for today, right? Let me go to look through the chat, right? Okay, maybe let me pick the first one right over here. Winky Chong, Propnex, right? One of Singapore's largest real estate agency, right? Propnex. Is the sky the limit? Well, that will be the very first stock I've chosen today. In fact, one of the stocks that we covered over the past few sessions, I've talked about it. We sent out a few notes to our clients in Philips Securities as well. And let's go ahead to dive into this stock called Propnex, right over here. There we go, right? This is Propnex at $1.99. cents, right? $1.99. All right, so I'll not go too far, but you can see that, guys, since last year, right, we actually had a couple of bullish signals coming out, right? So these were all confirmations whereby this stock is starting to move up. We got bullish signals. The green 20 days moving average line that was going sideways started to turn up as another confirmation, right over here, and there we go, all the way up. I would say it would be about a 35%, right? 35% in about 4 months. And then we got a bearish signal. Why? Well, that was in April, right? Trump introduced tariff. He broke a certain support level, and we got a bearish signal. Take some profit, get out, right? It became a bit boring. It went sideways for 2 months. But what happened? All right, over here in June, July, pump. All right, another one in July or end of June, another bullish signal, 1, 2, 3. A week later, there we go, right? Long-term trend was up. The short-term trend that was going sideways, the green line sideways, started to point up as well. Is the green line still pointing up? Yes, I think it's still pointing up. Does it make sense, right? So don't you bluff yourself like up means up, down means down, right? So the green line is still pointing up. The longer-term trend is still up. Short-term trend is still up, all right? There are still no bearish signals out right now. What do I mean by a bearish signal there? This red color signal right over here, right? In April, when we got this bearish signal. I mean, do you see it over here or here or here or here? Don't have, right? So there is still no bearish signal, right? So back to your question, Winky Chong, is the sky the limit? Well, I would say that right now, to be honest, it still looks pretty good, right? Just that I would say it has gone up by quite a fair bit. In fact, how many percent? Let's take a look, right? So since we covered it somewhere in June, July, right? Let's just take from here all the way to here. 86% in 1 month. 86% in 1 month, right? From that 1 GT bullish signal that came out. Pretty strong rally, I would say. Not 1 year, 1 month, in 1 month, right? Slightly more than a month, right? So very strong rally. There is still no bearish signal. So overall, it still looks good. But just that I feel that maybe it's gone up by quite a fair bit. It is okay. It's okay to take some profit, right? So one thing, guys, that when you type in the chat, right, the stock, right, give us a bit of an opinion as well, a bit of context. Like, are you looking to buy? Maybe like Winkit, are you looking to sell? Because maybe you have got in previously, then you are thinking is the sky is the limit, you take some profit, right? So give us a bit of context, right? I'm not too sure. But for me right now, assuming they have got in Winkit, I would say that it's fine to take some profit because I would think that $2 would be what we call a psychological resistance level. In fact, today, this is live, guys. Look at this today, right? The high was at about $2.06. Does it make sense? $2.06. Went all the way up, 205, 206. Sellers came back and sellers are kind of like pushing prices back down below $2. So it's normal to see some profit taking near the $2, right? So if you want to take some partial profits, I mean, it's 86%, guys. I mean, if you want to take some profit, I think it's fine, all right? It leaves some balance for you to ride, right? I would prefer to see it consolidate a little bit, right? Maybe above the 180 to 190 support, consolidate a little bit up, down for 1-2 weeks, rest a bit first, right? Then you attempt to break $2, then you push even higher, and that is where maybe we might see another bullish signal as well, right? So right now, I think it still looks okay, right? There's no bearish signal, just that maybe up a bit too fast, right? So I prefer if you can rest a bit first, consolidate, and that would be what we call a healthy uptrend, right? So normally what we want to see is like this. Look at this, right? Consolidate, pump. And over here, we consolidated for 1 month, up, down. You see, rest a bit, pump. All right, now hopefully we consolidate a bit, right? Then pump, and then consolidate, then pump. Doesn't make sense, right? So that's what I mean by a consolidation, like a staircase like that, right? So you up, flat, right? That is a healthy uptrend. But if you go up like this like that, then I think you want to be careful, right? You want to be careful. You want to take steps to make sure you protect your profit. So normally in a healthy, sustainable uptrend, we want to see preferably some consolidation while it is going up. Because when there is consolidation, it means that some higher support had been found, right? Higher support had been found. So what we could do, same thing, right? For the one good trend pro indicator, I could turn on the trailing support and resistance very clearly. Look at this, right? So when we got this bullish signal popping out in June, a trailing support, this green line, actually popped up and it followed Propnex as it moved higher. You can see, so Propnex move up, it follow, as the name sounds like, trailing support. So this trailing support is one of the very powerful feature of the one good trend pro indicator. So you follow it, you give it the space to breathe. Don't follow too close, right? Don't be like a stalker or what, right? Give it some space, like let it breathe a bit, give it some allowance, right? And it move up, you follow it up. So past few weeks, it move up, it follow, right? So from when it first popped up somewhere around $1, now follow until become 166. Are we above the trailing support line? Yeah, still above that. In fact, there's still some space, right? You give it the space to breathe. So as long as we stay above the trailing support, or maybe even above the horizontal support at about 180, well, it is still good to go, right? We might just be consolidating sideways. I would prefer that, it just moves sideways for a while before attempting to push even higher. All right, so that is the very first stock for today. Propnex, not too bad. One of the stocks that we shared with our clients over the past few months, 86% in more than a month. Definitely a very, very good run. All right, so now let me pass on the mic to Bervyn to cover the next Singapore stock. Bervyn, all yours.
Thanks, Joey. All right, just let me remove this at least to the screen. Let's see. All right, so I think I saw quite a lot of people asking on the same stock. So Kunan is asking, bought Sembcorp at $5.50 after reaching peak prices have came down. Can I hold or can I add more? I think Song Ho is also asking what happened to Sembcorp plummet after result announcement. I think Energized Mood is also asking, caught with the Sembcorp Classic fall, used SRS to buy, sitting a little bit of losses. Should he average down or just cut where is support? So I think there is a couple more people that are asking. Michua is also asking on Sembcorp Industry. So I think I will cover Sembcorp Industry. But as you can see, I think at the same time where everybody of us are looking at the same counter, we all have different attention. Some are looking to buy, some is wondering whether they should cut, some is even wondering whether they should average down. Okay, so I think here we have Sembcorp Industry. Let's get rid of that banner first. Okay, so we have that Sembcorp Industry on the screen right now. I think the results came in. I took a glance of it, I think last week as well. The results are good, but it looks like they have some unusual profits that cannot be repeated as well. And then the core profit missed some of these analyst targets. So that is why prices have fallen quite a little bit. As we can see, we have a 1GT bearish signal that actually came in on the 8th of August. All right, National Day, but the price come down. Okay, so we actually see that prices broke that $7 support level at that point of time. Swiftly, very quickly on Monday, also tested the 650 support. Did not manage to hold and eventually also gave way and came down. So as of this morning, we are trading at 16.15. This is live, and this is currently very close to that 200 days moving average already. So I think it had a pretty good run up. I think since that first 1GT bullish signal actually appeared in April, there's about 25% run up, and then we saw those profit taking, those selling actually came back in as prices approached that $8 mark. So at this point, the next support looks to be around that 550 to 560 level, which was back then in October 2024. This was the resistance level, then turned into a support earlier this year. So are we going to be heading back there? I think it's hard to say, but you are already sitting on some profits. I think Sunan was sitting on some profits just now. Bought at 550, you're still sitting on some profits. Of course, I would have rather you sold at the high, but that gap down would have caught anybody unexpectedly, right? So no choice, you have been holding. So let me just turn on this 1GT, trading support from that 1GT indicator. As you can see, that trading support was broken and that 1GT bearish signal had appeared. So ideally, if you have a trading plan, you want to be able to get out once that trailing support is broken. So thus you have been sitting on some profits. But I think it's not too late as of now. It is because you are still sitting on some profits. So if you have an exit plan, it may be time to execute it as well. All right. So you want to, firstly, you can get out first, because nobody said that once you get out, you cannot get back in when prices stabilize above a support level, right? Above a support level. So far, these support levels are not holding. We could see continued weakness coming in, shown by the 20 days moving average also already pointing down. So it's not a good sign that 100 days moving average already starting to flatten out. If prices continue to fall, I think surely, definitely you will see this 100 days moving average also start to point down and perhaps even come close to that 200 days moving average. So I think if you are looking to buy, I think you should be waiting for a little bit of stabilization. I think definitely not the time to rush in to buy now. I think it's good to exercise a little bit of patience. So now wait for prices to stabilize. Wait and see if prices are able to first hold above that 560 support level. All right, that's a key, pretty much a very key support level at this point, or stage a rebound towards that 650 and break that 650, because that was another support level or support area that prices was consolidating from since May, or as in during the entire month of May. So I think these are the two levels to watch out for. Set some alerts for yourself to get yourself known that, hey, these are the two alerts. But if you're currently sitting on some profits, yeah, maybe it's good to already start taking some profits. You do not want prices to hit back down and then your profits become losses, right? All right. So if that 650 level gives way, all right, prices are able to break above that 650 level, we are back to testing, or we could possibly come back to test that $7 level. But I think last thing to be a caution about is if that 560 level is broken, as you can see here, the next support level will be close to that 520 or even perhaps that $5 psychological level already. So just be a little bit more careful for Samco Industry. I think near-term weakness still present at this point. All right, so that is for Samco Industry. I'll pass the time now to Z to cover the next stock for you guys.
All right, thanks, Bervyn. Okay, so I think the next stock that I will be covering will be Capland Ascendas REITs, right? Because I saw Boss Nova, you are asking about this Capland Ascendas REITs holding at 2.755, thinking to add more and will it go down further? Okay, so maybe let's take a look at this stock right now, okay? So on TradingView, we can see that, like what Bervyn mentioned, this is pretty much live, right? Maybe a couple of minutes delay lah, but right now it seems like price is trading about 2.69, 2.68, right? And you said that you are holding at 2.755. So probably you are sitting on a bit of losses now, right? Sitting on some losses now, and you are thinking whether maybe you should add more, average down, and then will this actually go down further? So first thing first, when we look at this, right, what can we tell? I mean, very obvious, we actually have a 1 GT bearish signal coming out, right? And then apart from just the 1 GT bearish signal, we also always look at the trend, right? And when we look at the trend, what do we see? Trend, we look at 3 moving averages: green, red, and blue, right? The sequence is correct lah. Green above the red, above the blue. That's what we want to see. But we also want to look at the direction of where these moving averages are pointing, right? And based on the 20 days moving average, which is the green line, can you see that it was actually going up, and then after that it started to point down? And is it still pointing down now? Yes, right? It's still actually pointing down. The red and the blue, the blue definitely is kind of like just going sideways, right? Red is gently still sloping up. Not too bad, but seems to kind of like flatten out a bit as well. So the longer term trend, what it is trying to tell us, or it potentially could indicate that, the longer term trend, what we could potentially be seeing would be a sideways consolidation, right? But then in terms of the shorter term, we are actually seeing some weakness, right? 20 days moving average pointing down, we get a 1 GT bearish signal. And based on the information that we have, perhaps the next thing that we can do is actually to spot what are some of the key levels that maybe we can take note of lah. Because if you are thinking to add, maybe where should we potentially add, or maybe where should we even potentially position ourselves to actually get out, right? To get out. So based on this, first thing first, very obvious, right over here, this level, as you can see, 280, right? 280, this level actually is one of the immediate resistance, I would say, right? Because previously back in September, price tested this level, came back down, right? Selling pressure pushed the price back down. We also get another 1 GT bearish signal. Now same thing happened. Price went all the way up to 280. It in fact even broke above 280, but unfortunately, it didn't. Selling pressure came back in. Buyers didn't manage to support it, and prices pushed back down once again below the 280, right? So I would say 280 definitely will be the immediate resistance that I'll be looking out for, right? And in terms of support, where would the support be? I think one of the very crucial support level, right, that we are looking at will be around this 240 level, right? Because this 240 level, as you can see over here, from November all the way to March, right, at least I think 2-3 months, right? Over here, it was actually holding above it pretty well, right? Every time it comes back down near to this 240, that's when buying pressure return, buyers return to support the prices at 240, right? So this couple of months, it was actually tested, right? And right over here, this was actually the tariffs, right? The initial announcement of the tariffs. And subsequently, very quickly, you can see that price rebounded quickly and hold back above the 240. So I would say 240 definitely will be one of the key or crucial support level that we should take note of. Okay, so these support and resistance are maybe that's where we can actually set some price alert on your end, right, to notify you of these levels. But to answer your question, thinking whether to add more, right? So the thing is that now we actually got a 1 GT bearish signal. What does that mean? It doesn't mean that the stock will crash, but it just means that it actually supports the fact that there is more selling pressure returning, right? There's more selling pressure returning, and plus, I mentioned that 20 days moving average is still pointing down. So we don't have to rush, right? We don't have to rush to actually add in any position or to buy, right? Because the price is actually going down. Now, what we want to actually look out for is for actually the price action, right, to actually stabilize first. And how can we actually tell that is that, the 20 days moving average, what we want to see is also for it to not go down anymore, right? At least to flatten out and go sideways and maybe even start showing signs of it pointing back up. Right? That is ideally what we want to see. We want to see where are the buyers coming back in to support the prices. Okay? Where are the buyers coming back in? Because if you buy here, can the price continue to actually move down? Can, right? But would it move down? I'm not sure, because we need to know where are the buyers coming back in to support the prices, like so, right? Like for example, let me just highlight this like this, right? Buyers come back in to support the prices. We know where the support level are, and that's where we then can consider, to take some action, maybe to add some position and things like that. All right. And for this capital land Ascendas REIT, also really it depends on what is your trading plan, because for some, some of the clients that we spoke to, perhaps this could be in their dividend portfolio for long-term holdings, but whereas for some it could also potentially be for short-term trading, right? Within, it could be like a range-bound trading from 240 to 280, within a range. So it really depends on what your trading plan is for this counter, but always just make sure that you have a stop loss plan in place to actually protect your downside. All right, so these are some levels that you can take note of, and maybe some of the confirmations that you want to look out for, especially for stabilization before thinking to take any further action. All right. So that would be for Capital Land Ascendas REIT. I'll pass the time back over to Joey to cover the next stock.
Okay, let's move on to the next one, right? And that would be this stock called IFAS, right? So Mr. Ho, welcome. Good to see you over here as well. Mr. Ho bought IFAS at $6.22. Not right. Well, now $9.62. Good, confirm make money. Congratulations, Mr. Ho. Right, looking to take some profit. Very good. I'm sure make money already. So looking to take some profit, but seems quite strong, right? Maybe can go up some more, right? Right. So any more upside or maybe bearish signal out yet? I don't know. Later we turn on and we see whether got bearish signal now, right? Short-term trend still up. Your opinion, please. So let me go ahead to turn on the 1 GT Pro indicator to see. As you see, now it's like a blank, right? Blank. That's what we could do, as I say, to get an opinion in seconds. Sometimes very lazy. I don't want to analyze. We can turn this bullish and bearish signal. 1, 2, 3, pump on, and there we go. Right? Wow. Right? It has indeed gone up by quite a fair bit. We got a couple of bullish signals coming out right over here. That was in July last month, right? In fact, not just bullish signal. Previously in March, I also got bearish. So not every time bullish go up. Every time I know. Also can come down. So if you see a bearish signal over here in March, April, went down from 850, go until 650, you want to be careful. So you don't want to rush to get in. You want to be patient, right? As I say, we want to wait for more confirmation before riding the reversal of stock. So some of you might ask me, hey, Joey, you say, wait, be patient, that kind of thing, right? So what is the confirmation? When then can go in? Well, if we do see a new 1 GT bullish signal, that would be a good confirmation. Another confirmation would be if we do see signs of the trend, right? This green line, this green line is going down, right? Down for like 2-3 months, and then flat, very boring, sideways, right? And then when the bullish signal came out, it started to point up. Does it make sense? That's where we have a double confirmation of that reversal actually happening. And go up. I would say the green line is still pointing up, plus the two. Well, in fact, another bullish signal came out and it went up even more. That was in 30th of July. All right, 30th of July. Okay, so let's go back to your question. I think overall it looks pretty good. All right, it still seems quite strong. Indeed, it still seems quite strong. That was one of the stocks that we sent out to our clients in Philips Securities, I think about 2-3 weeks back, when we actually attempted to break this very key resistance level. So let me just draw this. Okay, let me just remove this. I want to show you guys this very key level, right? This very key level right over here. There we go. $8.50. $8.50. Look at this, right? 8.50 was a very key resistance level. We have been trading below since 2023, almost 2 years. We're right here, November 2023, came down, touch here, came down. Over the past, 1 over year, we neared it. In fact, in February, we tried to cross it, but cannot, right? Came back down again. So 850 is what we call a very key psychological resistance level. Every time we go there for the past 1-2 years, every time come back down, right? It's like a ceiling at that, right? Every time you throw the ball, you always come back down, right? Cannot break that key level. But one fine day, over the past 2 weeks, it never come down there, right? It managed to break above and go to the next floor, all right? It's like we have broken this very key psychological resistance, right? We went above 850, even the $9 gave way as well, all right? And I think that triggered another bullish signal. Let me just turn it back on again. So that triggered another one GT bullish signal, and it started to push a little bit higher. So I think looks good overall. What I would say is that there is obviously no bearish signal out right now, as you can see, right? So it looks okay. Short-term trend is still up, but it might have gone up by quite a bit. So if you're looking to take profit, Mr. Ho, nothing wrong to take profit, right? So where could some selling pressure actually comes back? Well, take note of this level, the $10. Look at this right up here. $10 is a psychological resistance level. So anything to do with like a psychological number, $10, $5, $1, that kind of thing, right? That is where I would say some people might want to take some profit. So we might see a bit of consolidation over there, just below it. Right? In fact, over the past week, it seems like the high was about 977, maybe 980, 990, around near 10. Not at 10, near 10. Some profit taking can potentially start to come back. So you take some profit around there, I think it's fine, all right? I mean, looking at you have got in at $6.22, or maybe let's just say from this very first bullish signal, all right, that came out, all the way to now, 43% in 2 months. I think that's a pretty good, gains, right? But you could take some profit near $10, right? Take some profit, put some money in your pocket. Well, have some positions to right, all right? Because I would think that if we break $10, all right, you can see that I've set some price alerts over here, right? So 10.12, 10.02. If we break $10, targets could be revised even higher. Maybe it would be to $11 to even $12, right? So I'm still quite bullish on IFAST, just that it has gone up by quite a bit from these two bullish signal. We want to let it consolidate for a while first before attempting to push even higher. All right, so that is for IFAST. Let me pass on the mic to Bervyn to cover the next stock.
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, so I think Winket is asking about sets looking to buy for mid to long term. What is a good support from a TA and FA perspective? All right, okay, so Winket hopefully is still here. I'll just throw it up onto the screen right now. All right, so we have sets on the screen. I think the sets earnings, last announced sometime in May. I don't see any recent earnings being announced, but from what I can recall, it looks like they are still experiencing robust growth or stable growth, I would say, with as long as the US-China tariffs remain on pause, or there are continued trade talks. I think they should be holding rather well. All right, but looking from the chart perspective very quickly, we can see that it has rebounded and tested quite a few of those key levels. Right here, we can see here that $3 to $3.10 level. Prices had tested it quite a few times before finally breaking above in July. And then just 2 weeks ago, we came back and look at that candlestick. It is showing quite a long lower shadow, and prices have in fact rebounded from that level as well. And right now we are trading, I would say, in a little bit of a no man's land, under that 340 level, just above that, and also above that 310 level. But the moving averages are also giving a little bit of mixed signs, right? That 200 days moving average still sloping down. That 100 days moving average still pointing up, just started pointing up in July and still pointing up. And that 20 days moving average actually looks to be flattening out. So all three different signals are from three different moving averages at this point, and prices are in the middle of no man's land. So right now, I would place that support zone or that buy zone close to that 310. But I think this is in fact more important if we can see if prices are going to be continuing moving sideways, all right, just within that $3.10 to $3.40 level, which I believe is quite normal for sets as well to be consolidating within a range, not much movement, just moving sideways for a little bit. And if we can in fact see that 200 days moving average does start to flatten out, I think that will be giving us a confirmation or a sign that prices are in a consolidation range at this point. All right, so prices have previously tested this 340 level once in July, came close, not quite testing it in February, and previously it was a resistance that was broken above, roughly about a year ago, sometime in August as well. All right, so I think if the prices are able to break above that 340 level, the next upside target I think could be drawn towards that 370 level, which was the high back in August last year before it attempts that $4 level. But I think take it one step at a time. Let's see if SES is able to perform like a textbook uptrend where prices consolidate, move higher, consolidate and move higher. But if you are currently sitting on some positions for sets, you may also want to consider taking some profits close to that 340 level. Nothing wrong to take some profits close to a resistance. Why? Is because at a resistance, what's going to happen? You tend to see sellers come in. Profit taking usually comes in at the resistance as well. So it is okay to take some profits. And if prices retrace back down towards that 310 level, that's when you can also get back in. So let me just turn on that 1GT buy or sell signal right here. We see a 1GT bearish signal. 1GT bearish signal after prices had a 1GT bullish signal sometime in the mid of July. I think this is a start of another consolidation or another sign that consolidation could continue. So let's delete this, just move up this line and delete. Right here, you can see a trailing resistance actually forming right around that 340 resistance that I've drawn previously. So if prices were to finally break above this 340 level, then there will be, or there could be, another 1GT bullish signal appearing as well. So that is a sign of bullishness. But if prices are kept below it pretty much, yes, I would say we are in a consolidation range for set. But so far, I think what you could do is to also set up some alerts. So just now, I think Zee and Joey have shown you how to set up some price alerts, but you can also set up some buy or sell alerts from that 1GT Pro indicator as well. This is to notify yourself or notify ourselves that if there's a new 1GT bullish or bearish signals that appear that could confirm our next move as well. All right, so that is for stats. I'll pass the time now back to Zee to cover the next stock.
All right, thanks, Bervyn. Okay, so I think the next stock that I'll be covering, right, will be one that maybe a lot of you guys are actually looking out for as well. And that is also one of our bonus stock in our past sessions lah. So that would be ST Engineering, right? Because I saw some of you guys in the chat was asking ST Engineering price movement. Is it profit taking? What's the potential entry price, right? And I think Lam is also asking for some opinions on ST Engineering, looking to buy. And first last, very detailed. Was taking a look at the 1GT signal, showing red signal yesterday, big sell down, 20 MA cross downwards. Is it time to exit to take profits? And then your average cost price you bought at $3.40. Okay, so maybe let's take a look at it. Okay, so maybe let me just hide this comment first, cause maybe cannot really see the chart. Okay, maybe something like that. All right, so as you guys can see, right, ST Engineering definitely, the trend still look pretty much intact. But I think a lot of you guys are a bit concerned about this stock, especially it's because just yesterday, right, on the 15th of, no, not yesterday, sorry, I think today, yeah, just today, right now, we actually are seeing a 1GT bearish signal coming up, right over here. And yesterday, we actually had a very bearish red candlestick, right? All the way came back down, and today actually opened and now it's even lower than yesterday's low, right? So I think that's the reason why a lot of you guys are maybe a bit concerned about this stock, especially those of you who are actually holding on for some time and you are thinking, whether is it time for me to get out? Or for those of you who never got into this stock and you're thinking, is it actually time for me to perhaps get into this position, right? So let's take a look at this and some of the key levels, all right? Oh, as you can see, the 1GT bearish signal actually disappeared. All right. So by the way, for you guys who are here, right, because these chart, right, trading view is actually live, right? And the 1GT signals, right, will actually follow as per, if the criteria are actually hit, the signals will actually come out or it will actually go off, right? As you can see, it came out and now it came back out again, right? So it can come out and can turn off if the criteria are not met, if the criteria is not met. So what we usually see, right, for the 1GT signals, and we actually get a confirmation from it, is at the end of the day, right? At the end of the day, once the market has closed and you actually see a 1GT bearish signal there, then yes, on that day, the 1GT signal will be there already, right? And tomorrow you open your chart again, the 1GT bearish signal will still be there. So at this point in time, because price is still trading up and down, so maybe what we want to monitor, right, is towards the end of the day, whether does this 1GT bearish signal still stay lah, all right? Okay, so right now, of course, just now it disappeared, now it came back again, right? So let's analyze the chart together and take a look at some of the key levels that perhaps we should take note of for ST Engineering. Okay, so first thing first, for the longer term trend, do you guys, okay, just make it a bit more interactive for you guys as well, so that it's not so boring that you guys just listen. What do you guys think about the longer term trend? We just focus on the red and the blue line. Do you think the longer term trend, right, is still pretty okay? If it's okay, just let me know, like up, U for up. If the longer term trend, right, is it still looking okay? What do you guys think for the longer term trend, the red and the blue line? If it's okay, type U for up. Energized Mood, Jared, Phyllis, Rick. Okay, great. A lot of you guys said that ST Engineering longer term trend is still up. Yes, and I fully agree with you guys, right? Because both of them are actually still pointing up, right? Still pointing up. But we actually see, today we got 1GT bearish signal, right? Then we take a look at the shorter term trend, right? Shorter term trend. Let me just zoom in a bit. And what do we see? The shorter term trend initially was, going up, all the way, flatten out, go up again. And right now, if I were to zoom in a bit more, do we see that, the shorter term trend is starting to flatten out once more, right? It's starting to flatten out once again, right? But at least it is not pointing down yet, right? It is actually not pointing down yet. So the thing is that over the past couple of months, when we analyze this, right, you can see that we have already drawn some lines over here in terms of the support and the resistance, right? And right now, what we can see is that, very recently, it kind of like broke below. Today, it actually opened and broke below the 850 support level, right? And it turned to become what we call resistance. But at the end of today, I don't know whether, buying pressure, maybe after lunch, it might come back and push the price back up to 850, close above 850. I don't know, right? I'm not sure. I cannot predict, right? But 850, I would say right now, 850 will be the immediate resistance at this point in time, right? At this point in time. And I think one of the very crucial support level, right, definitely would be within this range right over here, 780 to this $8, because this was the level, right, that you can see from June all the way to July for this one entire month, right? This was the level that price actually kind of really consolidated sideways, right? And this was the level that, every time, sellers come in to push price back down, buyers come in to support it, and then it was just like, the bulls and the bears were fighting each other within this range for a month, right? So I would say this $780 to $8 is really one of the very crucial level to actually watch out for, because if prices were to continue to actually dip, right, and it actually breaks below this 780, right, then I think perhaps that's where you got to be a bit more cautious and monitor this stock, because this very crucial support level, right, that buyers previously came in to support is broken, right? And then that is where you want to be a bit more careful for this stock, right? Because there could potentially be, some signs of perhaps the longer term trend, the red and the blue line might also start to maybe flatten out and maybe show a bit of it sloping down. By then, if prices were to break below this $8 and 780 this level, so this is where perhaps some of you guys might also want to set some price alert to notify you as well. All right. And okay, and right now price is at $8.36, right? $8.36. So for some of you guys who are thinking about, okay, let me maybe just cover the side whereby those of you who do not have a position and you are thinking about potentially entering a position, right? Where should we potentially position ourselves for entry? So like what I've mentioned, right? This would be the zone that we want to keep a lookout for. And if prices were to be able to dip back to this zone and rebound back up, this is where we want to position ourselves for entry, right? Because it is near actually a very crucial support level. And just now, you guys all agree, right, that, the longer term uptrend is actually still intact, right? The longer term uptrend, it is still intact. The red and the blue line is actually still pointing up. So when the longer term uptrend is still intact, where we want to position ourselves for entry would be near a support level, right? Would be near a support level. So exactly, which is why I mentioned this is one of the levels, right? 780, maybe you want to put 781, 782, 783, all the way to $8 price alerts at this level, right? To notify you when price were to retrace back to that level. But of course, also manage your downside lah, because if prices were to break below this 780, like what I mentioned, that's where we want to be a bit more cautious. Okay. And in terms of profit taking wise, for those of you who are, already holding on to a position, like for example, where's the comment? Let me see. For first last, right? I think first last you were asking about, is it time to actually take profits? And your entry price was actually 340. Wow, so you are probably sitting on, let me see, 340, 340, that is somewhere here, all the way to here. Wow, you are sitting on 147% of profits. So that's a lot, but then I think you can potentially take some profits if you want to as well, right? Because definitely more than 100% can also take some profits. Right? Don't have to take full, but can take some partial profits. Especially when we are, potentially seeing 1 GT bearish signal coming up, because that could mean that we are seeing more selling pressure returning. All right, and if prices, if it can go like that sideways before it actually breaks above the $9, right? I think potential upside targets that we are looking at, right, could potentially be towards the 950 first, right over here, right, towards the 950 first, and this is where you can also, take profits along the way, right? Because like what we mentioned, when we have covered this stock, since many months back, right? Along the way, especially when prices hit a certain resistance or is near a certain resistance, that's where we can consider to take some partial profits. Okay, so for this particular stock right now, I think definitely in terms of the longer term trend, it still looks pretty bullish. But short term wise, I think for the next couple of days, perhaps we can actually monitor to see, whether the 1 GT bearish signal is actually intact, right? And if it does, just maybe you guys want to monitor, especially the 780 to actually $8 level, to see if prices will be heading back to that level, to potentially, accumulate some positions on the dips lah. And for those of you, who are actually thinking of taking profits, I think right now, since, I mentioned 850 is the immediate resistance, there's nothing wrong for you to actually take some partial profits near the resistance as well. Okay, so I hope that this will be able to cover some of your questions, right, on both sides, whether, to enter and also to exit, and some of the levels that you guys should take note and set some price alerts. All right. So that would be for ST Engineering. I'll pass the time back over to Joey to actually cover the next stock.
All right, thank you so much. Right, so very good sharing on ST Engineering, guys. I mean, we got bullish signals since January. One of the top performing stocks, I would say, in the Singapore market, right? So yeah, maybe I don't know, right? The market has not closed yet. Now it's only like about 11:28 a.m. All right, but 5 p.m. then we'll know whether the bearish signal actually appears. Like if the bearish signal actually appears, then of course we set alert. We will be alerted. And that is where we want to be careful for next week lah. I mean, if you see a bearish signal, then don't want to rush lah. I mean, you want to wait for it to pull back a little bit, wait for more confirmation of the reversal to come back, a new bullish signal, the short-term trend turning up, then you get back in. Does it make sense, right? So we don't want to rush. So that remains to be seen, but that is exactly what we are looking out for, right? Based on the one good trend strategy, based on the 1GT Pro indicator. Okay, now let's move on. Let's move on very quickly to the very next stock, and that would be YZJ, Zhejiang Financial Holding, right? Zhejiang Financial Holding right over here. But let me just go to share some comments, right? Hi, we have Hua Ling. All right, I enjoy your live sharing very much. It would be nice if you can share live technical analysis every day. Thank you so much for your kind words. But Hua Ling, we do it every Friday. We try every day, maybe a bit too xiong, right? But every Friday we try to do it. Right? Hopefully you can join us. Today will be Singapore. Let us know your stocks, right? Thank you so much for your kind words. Okay, let's move on, and I will go on to this stock right over here called Zhejiang Finance or Zhejiang Financial Holding. Karen Lai, I hope you're still here, right? Good morning. Should hold or sell? Already make 35%. Well, congratulations, right? 35%. So you bought it already, right? And you are already making money. So the question is that should you hold, or so it can maybe go up some more and make more money, or maybe you should sell because you scared it will come down. Correct? So that is this, I mean, pretty much the thought process, right? So let's go to find out, all right? Right now, I would say that for Zhejiang Financial Holding, well, I will not go too far, but look at this right over here. Since October, in fact, September last year, we got a 1GT bullish signal coming out. And there we go. The short-term trend turned up, longer-term trend was already up. all the way up. We got a bearish signal, 107% in 6 months. 6 months, right? So when we get a bearish signal, take some profit. I mean, 100%. Why you want to be greedy, right? Take some profit, get out. All right, and then you can see that it went down a bit and was a bit boring, went sideways. The green 20 days moving average line that was going up went sideways, right? We got a bullish signal coming out. But what happened? All right, we got another, the first one and the second 1GT bullish signal came out. And in fact, the green line from sideways started to turn up. That's another confirmation. So not too sure exactly where you bought for a 35% gain, but from this bullish signal that came over here, we are looking at a gain about 41% or slightly more than you, right? So maybe you're going maybe over here, all right? I think slightly a bit higher, right? But this was one of the stocks, if I'm not wrong, that we actually shared with our clients in Philips Securities on the 2nd of July, right over here. Yeah, on this day, we actually sent out a note to our clients in Philips Securities. Just help me out here. How many of you are actually clients of mine in Philips Securities? You have a trading account under me in Philips Securities. Just type a C, guys. Type a C for client. Just want to check and acknowledge and thank you for your support. If you are a client of mine in Philips Securities, type a C in the chat. Let me know. All right. And check your WhatsApp. I think you should receive a WhatsApp on the 2nd of July on YZJ Financial Holding. Right. Please check your WhatsApp. You should have it, right? Grace, client, Alan, client as well. All right, so we have quite a bit of clients over here. Alan, Cynthia, Catherine, Stephen, Kelvin, client, David, good to see you. Thank you so much for the support. Hi, John, Rick as well, your client as well. Awesome, Bernard. All right, Celia, good to see you. Helen, Chiquim. All right, okay, client. So I believe Abel is good to see as well. So a lot of you are clients over here. Maybe some of you are not yet a client of mine in Philips Securities. So this is the public, right? YouTube, we go live just to add more value, not just to our clients, but to everyone, right? Just to see, to give you guys an opinion on the stocks. But if you want to join many of our clients over here, like Dave, Clement, Dan, Denise, check it out, guys. Find out how you can become a client of mine in Philips Securities for free. The link is right in the chat, all right? So as I say, that's where we actually share some of our top ideas much faster by WhatsApp, daily, live, for free. Yes, free at no additional cost, zero. You do not pay anything more, all right? Just to be 100% clear, right? It's the same as whatever you pay when you trade, all right? So if you are trading, you need a trading account, right? So if you have a trading account somewhere and then you log in, you just buy some random stock, your own broker never send you any idea like YZJ Financial Holding on this date right over here. So clients like Madeline, you can check your WhatsApp. I think I got my team to send out a note on 2nd of July. I think right over here, right? And where we got the bullish signal, and we have since started to move up. So those of you who are not yet a client, you want to get ideas like this daily for free, much faster. Link is right in the chat. Click on it. Find out how you can become a client, so you get some of these ideas faster, I mean, then when we do, this live show, by the time it's really gone up, Does it make sense so far? All right. Okay, so let's take a look at YZJ Financial right now. All right, and see, right? You make 35%, very good. Is it still bullish? Can we still hit up even higher? Well, I would say that short-term trend is up, bullish signal still in play, longer-term trend is up. There is still no bearish signal right now, all right? And if you take a look at this psychological resistance level, Karen, all right, you can see that this is the $1 psychological resistance, right? So you can see for the past, okay, so 3 days have passed, right? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, right? Now it's $1.04. But if you ask me on like Tuesday or Monday, right? Like over here, right? Actually, we were below $1, about 98, 99, 97. Then sellers come back and push it down. So that $1 was actually a psychological resistance level. In fact, we actually attempted to go above it and sellers push it back down. Right? So if you want to take some profit, so I just want to be clear, right? There's nothing wrong to take some profits along the way, especially if we hit a key resistance level, because that's where a lot of selling can happen. It's very hard to cross that, what we call that obstacle. So nothing wrong to take some profit. But for me, if the stock is good, which I think is still good, all right, there is no need to take all profits. I mean, take some, a bit, take a bit, right? Put some money in your pocket, fine, right? And let the balance that you have ride further. But I would prefer not to take all, because why do you want to cut your profit short if maybe can go up higher, right? Does it make sense? All right. So if I will probably want to get out if there are signs of weakness, but so far, if there are no signs of weakness, it's still looking good. Take some, fine, be happy a bit. Have balance shares, protect the profits for the balance shares that you have, and allow it to ride even further. You see what I'm saying? All right. So over the past few days, well, we have broken above the $1, right? So now $1, let me just turn this red color line to green color because this resistance will now be a new support level. All right. So we are above the support level at $1, 104, 105. I think now the range is like $1 to 105. All right. Up, down 5 cents. All right? But if we can break above 105 or maybe even 110, all right, I think that's where targets could be revised all the way to even 120. So not too bad, right? So back to your question, Karen, should you hold or sell? Well, nothing wrong to take some profit if you want, right? But the fact that we have gone above $1, I think there's more bullishness, more momentum coming back in this stock. If we stay above $1, not too bad. And I can also quickly turn on the bullish. The bullish and bearish signals have been turned on. Look at it, right? But I could turn on the trailing support and resistance to see where it is, right? So when we got the bullish signal coming out in May, right? In May, the trailing support popped up, and as YZJ Financial Holding started to pop up, right? There we go, right? It follow up, flat, follow, and we are right over here around the 95 cents, right? So there's some space. As I say, this trailing support, we give the breathing room, right, for the stock to hopefully move higher. If you're above it, then chill, all right, relax, right? Because it's just normal volatility. You're above it, right? You give it the space to breathe, all right? Don't follow too closely, okay? So obviously we are still above it. Green line still pointing up. $1 would be a psychological support, but if you're looking at the trailing support, then slightly lower, right? Because got some space, right? So if you're staying above 95 or maybe above $1, I think it still looks good. Does it make sense, all right? So you want to have a plan, right? So what we could do is to take steps to protect our profits. Like for example, if we go below the trailing support, we could have a plan to get out the stop loss and you still make money. But if prices were to move even higher, well, you shift your stop loss higher, you trail your stop loss just below the trailing support and protect your profits even more. Does it make sense? All right, so that is for YZJ Financial Holding. Not too bad. Anything above $1, I think there's still more legs to this rally. All right, so yep, that is for YZJ Financial Holding. So as I say, guys, this was one of the stocks that we actually shared with our clients in Phillip Securities, I think on this date, 2nd of July, by WhatsApp. If you want to get some of those ideas much faster, daily for free, check it out. The link is right in the chat, right? Especially if you are trading and you don't get any service from your own broker, nobody contact you, nobody WhatsApp you, nobody call you, nobody send you idea, training, video, nothing. All right, you got to call a hotline, wait for 5 minutes, that kind of thing, right? The link is in the chat. All right, Ken, let me pass on the mic to Bervyn to cover the next Singapore stock. Bervyn?
Thanks, Joey. Okay, so I think the next Singapore stocks I want to cover DBS. I think JC is also asking DBS with an exclamation mark. Okay, so let's cover DBS right here. Let's throw it up right here. Okay, so I think DBS is one of the, not one of the in fact, the top performing bank in Singapore at this point. I think doing a lot better than UOB at this point. I think looking at the past earnings, not too bad. I think they are pulling ahead in terms of net interest margin, and their non-interest income has also increased. So I think very obvious. I think in the past few days, a lot of people are talking about DBS finally breaking above that $50 level. But I think as of this morning, I think just before market stops for a break right here, we actually saw that prices are actually testing that $50 support right now. So many people are actually thinking, is it time to take profit? Is it time to sell? Is it too late to buy in? So I think what's the key thing to actually look out for right here is that longer term moving average is obviously still pointing up. All right, showing that longer term strength or that longer term trend is still intact. And in fact, even the shorter term moving average at 20 days, moving average in green right there, still pointing up, showing that there is short term momentum still in play. So there are actually quite a few people who are actually thinking of buying. In fact, so there is nothing wrong actually. In fact, if you have bought low and then when prices go higher, you want to buy more. Instead of thinking of averaging down, people are thinking of averaging up, which I think in fact is a good case, is a good thing as well, because it shows that the longer term trend, especially if the longer term trend is still intact, nothing wrong to buy at a higher price. But at what levels? So I think previously DBS had broken that $45.50 to $46 resistance right here, where he has tested quite a few times this year. 1, 2, came close, finally breaking it in July. and then not really coming quite close to it, right around that 46.5 level before it started to rebound, and finally breaking above that $50 mark this year, marking an all-time high. So firstly, I think if we were to just do a simple projection right of now, from that previous support to the current support, bring it up, I think right now the next resistance or the next target level will be very, very close to that $55 level already. So that is another 9 to 10% upside for DBS. So if you are looking to get in, I think right now we are testing that $50 level. So I think it is good to continue to monitor DBS. Let's see if prices are going to consolidate close to that $50 level, which I think could be a good level for entry. A little bit more aggressive, I would say. A little bit more aggressive. Let me change this to red. Why? It is because this is a breakout trade. It is a breakout trade. So nobody is able to tell you, or if not even me, not even Z, not even Joey is able to tell you if prices are going to be able to hold above $50 today. But if prices are able to hold above that $50 level, yes, I think that target upside could be still in play. So just let me turn on that buy and sell signal. As you can see right here, we have two 1GT bullish signals, one from April and one from July, that are still pretty much in play right now. So I think that bullishness could possibly continue. So if you were to get in, or if you are currently holding onto some DBS, as a lot of people have DBS shares as part of their portfolio, right? Look at this right here, that trailing support. Like Joey have said, this trailing support takes into account volatility, and look at that, we still have plenty of breathing room for DBS as well. So currently it is right around that 48.40 level. So if you're holding onto some DBS and you're looking, or you're thinking that you want to protect some profits, maybe just place your stop limit orders just below that 48.40 level, just to be able to continue to ride that upside and still being able to sleep at night. You want to be able to continue to secure your profits. I think this is a level to take note of. So I think that is a very quick one for DBS. Still looking good so far. Longer term trend, shorter term trend still up. I think there is an opportunity to accumulate as well. All right. Okay. So that is a very quick one for DBS. Passing the time to Z to cover the next stock.
All right. Thanks, Bervyn. Okay, so I think the next stock that I'll be covering will be by Lillian, right? Lillian, I hope you are still here. It's covering SIA, and you mentioned that you bought SIA at 6.55, whether you can hold or you're thinking perhaps to buy more, right? So let's take a look at SIA, right? So SIA, I think since the start of the year, it was kind of like sideways. Then maybe towards the end of Q1, we are seeing more action for this counter, and more buying interest actually came back to this counter, and that's where a lot of our clients and mentees have also started to ask about this particular stock, right? Because like what we can see, after the April low, it rebounded, right, and we got like subsequent 1GT bullish signal, and prices went all the way up to 680 and even broke the $7, one of the very key resistance, right? Okay, let me change this to red. Okay, yeah. So right now, price is trading at about the 6.57, right? And what are the first few things that we can see, right? Those are the very obvious things to point out. Number one, we see a very recent 1GT bearish signal right over here, right, on 29th of July. Okay, and secondly, we see that the short-term trend, 20 days moving average, is pointing down, right? So those two signs are really not so good lah, because it already tells you that, short-term trend wise and short-term wise, this stock, maybe that's where we want to be a bit more cautious lah, and not to actually rush in, because short-term pointing down, right? What we want to see is actually pointing up, but this is the opposite direction, pointing down, and 1GT bearish signal. We don't have a bullish signal, right? And over the past couple of weeks, right, after the price have actually get down, after we gotten a 1GT bearish signal, we actually see, you know, price drop, you know, selling pressure came back in, but around this 650, right, there seems to be some temporary support right over here, like over the past couple of weeks, because this is where we actually started to see, you know, buying pressure comes in, you know, to support the prices, and it's still holding above, you know, this 650 as of now, right? As of today, is it still holding above 650? Yes, it's still holding above 650. But one thing that we can take note of, right, of all these candlesticks over the past couple of months, right, not couple of months, couple of days, right, and weeks, is that if you take a look at it closely, right, you can see a lot of these candlesticks, a lot of them are pretty bearish because number one, they have very long upper shadows, right? Long upper shadows. And when we see long upper shadows, what does it mean? It means that, you know, the selling pressure throughout the trading day, right? If the buyers push all the way up, then somewhere throughout the trading day, the selling pressure come in and push all the way down. That's what results in this long upper shadow, right? And we also still get, you know, long bearish candlesticks like these, the red bearish candlesticks. And yesterday it attempted to break above this 660 lah, right? This 660, I would say last time it was actually a resistance, right over here. It was actually tested, neared it, break above it with a 1GT bullish signal. Here it came back down but rebounded back up, right? And right now it seems to be testing that 660 again, right? But today it actually opened at 660, and right now it is below that 660. So I think for Lillian, you mentioned that you bought somewhere at about what, 655, somewhere around here lah, within this zone, right? I think what you can do right now, I think don't have to rush to actually buy into any position, because ideally what we want to look out for and what we want to see is definitely for the 20 days moving average, right, to actually stop pointing down first, because we do not want to see any more selling pressure. We want to see more stabilization. So we want to see for this 20 days moving average to actually flatten out first, right? To at least flatten out first, right? And what would be good to monitor also is for price, right, to be able to hold back above the 660 level. Okay, hold back over the 660 level, because if prices were to actually break down, it goes back down here and it breaks down below the 650, and it breaks even lower than the previous low, then I think that's where, you know, you got to be a bit more cautious and think about, I don't know what's your exit plan, because potentially that could also be a reversal in play as well, because the 100 days moving average, as you can see, right, it was actually pointing up, right? The rate was pointing up and it has flattened out sideways. Now it's going sideways. If prices were to break below the 650 and even lower than the previous low, do you think that the 20 days moving average will continue going down? Yes, right? And potentially the 100 days moving average, which is the red line, can also start to show signs of it pointing down as well. And that's not what we want now. That's where we potentially want to get out of our position as well. All right. So for Lillian, do make sure to take note of this 650 level, this 650 immediate support level, because if prices were to break, that's where you want to be a bit more cautious lah, okay? And this is all just part of, you know, our 1GT framework and strategy, right? Because like what Joey mentioned, you know, we always take a look, we always look out for, you know, 7-point checklist. So part of the 7-point checklist, these are some of the things that we actually cover. So if you want to dive a bit more and know more in depth about this entire 1GT framework, right, that's where, you know, you can actually attend, like what Joey mentioned, one of the webinars. I think the last one, right, that is next week on Tuesday, 19th of August. So I think Bervyn will help me to put the chat. Okay, the chat is the link is already in the chat, right? So yeah, so if you're free, make sure to attend the session, and then that's where you have more information and more in-depth, you know, deep dive into the strategy itself. Then perhaps Joey can help me to share the screen and let them see, you know, how the registration page looks like and things like that. All right, so this will be a very quick one for SIA. Then I'll pass the time back over to Joey as well to cover the next stock.
All right, thank you so much. Right, very good analysis on SIA. All right, so yes, I think Z had mentioned that, guys. If you want to find out a little bit more about the entire One Good Trend strategy, and perhaps how me, Bervyn and Z are using what we call the One Good Trend Pro indicator to analyze your stocks, right? You could attend one of those free webinars next Tuesday. That is pretty much the last webinar, I would say, in the next 2 or 3 months, right? We have nothing planned after that, all right? So next Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. The link is right in the chat. Once you click on it, you will come to this page right over here, right? How to 3x your stock portfolio in 2025 with my One Good Trend framework. The date is right here, 19 August, Tuesday, 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. We're going live on Zoom, right? These are the 3 secrets that we share, right? So you can see that today we don't have time to really explain to you the whole thing, right? There's more than 60 70 over Singapore stocks that I'm sorry that we cannot cover all of it, right? I mean, you can see it really takes so much time, right? Plus, if we dive into the strategy, confirm no time one, right? So in this webinar, that's where we dive a little bit more into the strategy, into how do we actually filter out the top 1% of stocks first, right? In the Singapore market, right? In the US market, before we even think about buying and selling them. Does it make sense? All right, because now we're just covering your stock, all right? You ask me about DBS, I cover DBS. You ask me about IFAS, we cover IFAS. But the question is that even in the top 1%? All right. So what we want to do is that not just random stock, but we want to put the top 1%, and then we use the One Good Trend Pro indicator to guide us on entry and exit. All right. That's where we get more confirmations out of this 7-point checklist. Okay, so that will be shared in the webinar. Make sure you attend it if you have not yet done so, to learn a bit more about the entire One Good Trend strategy. Okay, now let me move on to the next stock, right? And that would be, I would say, Food Empire. Food Empire right over here. Yen is talking about Food Empire, right? So now let me just go through, guys, very quickly for those of you who have just joined us and you're not too sure exactly what stocks we have covered. So if we have covered the stocks, we will not be covering them again, all right? Because we want to cover more new stocks. So at the very beginning, guys, we do a quick market outlook. We talk about the STI, the Straits Times Index, because today is the Singapore market, right? So we talk about STI. The very first stock I covered was Propnex, right? One of the top performing stocks over the past 1-2 months, right? Massive rally, more than 80%. Check it out. If you missed it, watch the replay. It's on YouTube, all right? Even on Facebook as well. So Propnex was the first stock. Samco Industry, Capland, Ascendas REIT, IFAS, SETS, right? SETS Services was covered. ST Engineering, Z covered it, right? YZJ Financial Holding, DBS, Z just covered SIA. And now I'm moving on into Food Empire that Yen Chan is asking about. So hope Yen, you're still over here, right? Any thoughts on the resistance or support level for Food Empire or VCOM? So I'll just talk about Food Empire, right? Just one stock, Food Empire, as per the 1GT, as per my One Good Trend strategy. Accumulate more for dividends or take profit. So I think you've got in previously, right? So cost at 128 and 145. So I think Food Empire will be the 128 lah. So you got it at $1.28 for Food Empire. Wow, now what price, huh? Now it's $2.31. Wow, you got at $1.28. So I think you maybe bought around, maybe around here. Do you see this signal? Right, it seems like you got in right over here when we got the signal, right? 128. I think, yeah, maybe somewhere over here. I'm not too sure whether you're a graduate of mine or you have access to this 1GT Pro indicator. You got alerted to this, but I think maybe you got in right over here when we got the 1GT bullish signal. Yen right over here. So we got a 1GT bullish signal coming out 23rd April. It was around the price that you bought, right? So you can see that it has read it all the way up. Long-term trend was up. It was up, flat. In terms of the green line going flat, the short-term trend turns sideways. So this short-term trend will not every day be up one, right? Sometimes can be up, sometimes can be down, sometimes can be, sideways as well, right? So up, flat, and then turn up again. Does it make sense? All right. So longer-term trend has been up, but short-term, because it's short-term, right? So it can change, all right? Every 1-2 weeks, it can change here and there, right? Can be up, can be down, can be sideways, right? But right now, you see that the green line that was going up since July. Now, let's zoom in a little bit more to see, this green line, I would say no longer up, all right, but also not down, a bit sideways. Does it make sense? I think it's a bit more sideways. It just means that we are back to some sideways consolidation, right? Sideways consolidation. So once we see a sideways consolidation, that is where we could go ahead to draw what we call a consolidation support and a consolidation resistance, or you can call it simply a horizontal support or horizontal resistance. All right, so let's go ahead to draw it for Food Empire to see where is that resistance level, whereby over the past 2 weeks, every time we go there, come back down. All right, what is the level? Well, I think quite clearly, $2.50, quite clearly, guys. You can see, right, over the past 2-3 weeks, every time we go here, 248, 249, come back down here. So last week came back down. In fact, yesterday, I think the high was around 248, come back down. Okay, so 250 would be a psychological resistance level. Does it make sense? All right. So I think if you take some profit, as I say, nothing wrong to take some profit near a key resistance level. So now it's what? Now it's 231. So if I don't know whether tomorrow or next week, tomorrow is Saturday. Next week, right? Let's say if you go to near 245, 247, 249, 248, 24 something, right? Is it fine to take some profit? I think nothing wrong. So I'm not too sure how many shares you have bought, but you got it at $1.28. It's sure make money, right? So if you want to take some profit near that 24 something, nothing wrong, right? But I would say that, that there's still no bearish signal. Obviously, you can see that based on the very first 1GT bullish signal that have appeared in April, there is still no bearish signal. So wouldn't need to take all. Don't need to be so stressed. I think it's going to crash or what. As of now, there's still no bearish signal. So you want to take some profit, feel a bit happy. I think that's fine. But I would want to wait to see if we can actually break the $2.50 resistance. Look at this, right? I've set some alerts right over here, right? 252, 253. Maybe let me just set 254. All right, 255 also. Let me just set, right? So if we go above 250, guys, I can tell you, right? Look at these alerts I've set. Ding, 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 ding. My phone will ring, all right? And then, I'll be alerted by email as well, based on prices attempting to push to a new high, right? And we may even see a new 1GT bullish signal. So maybe I forgot to mention just now, but looking at this, as I say, now what we can do is we type the name of the stock and then we analyze it and then we look at the bullish and bearish signal, right? But some of you might actually ask me, right? Like some of our graduates actually ask us, hey, Joey, is it every time you must type the name of the stock, then the chart come out, then you see, all right? Can your, let's say the bullish signal come out, then you let me know, right? You just like send me a notification, then I don't need to go in and you can see, right? Can that happen? Well, you can do it. Well, you can set what we call an alert, right? You can set an alert. So right click, set an alert, all right? One good trend pro indicator, buy, normally you put buy or sell, right? One short setter, buy or sell alert, once per bar, create. So if there are any bullish, not just bullish, bullish or bearish, right? Red or green, doesn't matter, right? That's where I will be alerted. So I can tell you guys, if we break the 250, we may even see a new 1GT bullish signal. So Ian, right? You can take some profit, it's fine. But I'm more thinking that, if we can break 250, potentially we may see even more upside. Targets could be revised to 280, maybe even to $3. Does it make sense? All right. So that's where I have set an alert and I want to be alerted if we do get another bullish signal. And what we could do is this, right? For the balance shares, so Ian, you are definitely making money, right? So what you could do is to take some profit near 250, as I say, nothing wrong. And for the balance shares that you have, hopefully we break 250 and push higher, right? Great, maybe you get a bullish signal, even better. But what if never? What if it comes down, right? Go to a level, then should you, should you want to hold all the way down, then go back to your original same price, we come back to square one? Should you do that? I think, of course not, don't do that, you're already making money, right? So you definitely want to take steps to protect profits for the balance share that you never take profit. Does it make sense? How do you do that? Well, what we could do is to simply turn on the trailing support, one of the very powerful features of the One Good Trend Pro indicator. So quite clearly you can see, right? We got a 1GT bullish signal, as I say over here. This trailing support has popped out somewhere around $1.22, right? And as Food Empire moved up, we follow it move up, right? Then follow up, flat, follow, flat, follow. From 120 now, follow until become $2.15. Does it make sense? All right. So you follow it, don't follow too close. Give the stock some space. Don't be like a stalker, right? Give it some space to breathe, right? And you can see there's obviously still some space, right over here between the price and the trailing support, right? That's what we call natural volatility, right? So any natural pullbacks down to near 220, 215, I think it's still okay, right? You can see, in fact, over here, right? In June, we actually pull back down. We neared the trailing support and then, push away. And we push even higher. Does it make sense? So as long as we stay above the trailing support, still okay. However, as I say, if you to go below it, all right, we give you the space to stay above, right? So if you're good, you should stay above, but we give you the space, but yet you still go below it, and then something wrong, all right? That's where we would have a bearish signal. That's where you could take profit, you could get out, you still make money, all right? Get out, protect your profits, and kind of like lock it in. You don't want it to hold all the way down. Does it make sense? So that's how you could use this very powerful feature, the trailing support feature of the One Good Trend Pro indicator, to not just take steps to think about making more money and going higher or what bullish signal, right? But also to think about protecting the profits that you have already made. All right. If prices were to dip below a certain key support level. All right. So that is for Food Empire. I hope that helps, Ian. All right. So now let me pass on the mic to Bervyn to cover the next Singapore stock.
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, so I think Alexander, hopefully you're still here. I saw your message. I invested in Wilmar, average about $4. Possible DCA, or is it time to cut losses? I think Helen is also asking something very similar. I'm currently holding on to Wilmar at an average cost price of $4.48. Advisable to buy more at the current price. All right, so I'll just throw it up on the screen right here. We have Wilmar International. So if you have bought at around $4, that means you have been already holding it for at least 3 years already, at least 3 years. So that's when it came down from about $4, $4.48 would have been even longer, perhaps. But I think right now, I think we just have to just look at where the trend is currently for Wilmar. All right, so let's not kid ourselves. We can see that 100 days moving average recently crossed below that 200 days moving average, and then that means that longer term trend is still down. One more thing that actually stands out to me is what we call lower highs are actually forming for Roma as well. So that is not a good sign. There's no sign of a reversal for at least this portion. And we also see that 20 days moving average recently was pointing up for a while. It was pointing up for a while right here in July. Flattened out a little bit, did not proceed higher, but in fact actually came back down or started to point down again. So I think we need to be a little bit more cautious, recognize that these are signs that the trend could continue or the prices could continue to see weakness. So far, prices have been rather respecting, or buyers have been respecting that 2.85 support level. But if this level, I think, gives way, I think we can see further downside. So let me just do a little bit of a forecasting right here. Just let me change this to red. So if we see that 285 level give way, I think we can see downside towards that 260 or 265 level. So I mean, forecasting can be done on the uptrend or for a next leg of an uptrend, but it can also be done for the next leg of a downtrend. So this is not what we want to see as well. For Wilmar, we want to be a little bit more cautious. Just let me turn on that 1GT buy or sell signal right here. We see a recent 1GT bearish signal actually coming in just yesterday, in fact. So this could be a sign that weakness is still present in the nearer term. All right, Alexander, right? Helen, we want to be a bit more cautious. Sometimes we think that it's time to average down. You bought at $4, average down at $3. That gives you your average cost price about $3.50. But in fact, if prices continue to break lower, you cannot be averaging down. I think we have to recognize that at this point you have been holding for 3 years. There is some opportunity cost. Yes, you have gotten some dividends, but you have lost on the capital portion. So I think right now you can think of capital preservation as well. So you want to be a bit more careful if that 285 level gives way. Maybe we'll see another 1GT bearish signal come in. I think if you are one of Joey's clients, you would have received many of those WhatsApp broadcast messages talking about different other stocks as well, where you can potentially place your capital in instead of having to average down on a losing counter as well. So I think if we are able to see signs of reversal, that 100 days, 200 days moving average flattening out, 20 days moving average starting to point up, prices breaking above that $3 level, yes, then I'll say, yeah, the next upside could be towards that 350 level as well. But see that in the past, this level has been a level where many sellers have actually came in. So if prices head towards that level, could be a sign for you to also, reduce some of those exposure already. You don't want to be holding on to something, or in fact, you want to let go of your entire position, that would be fine as well, because you have been holding on to it for so long already. Okay, so that is a quick one for Wilmar. Hope it helps. Pass the time now to Z to cover the next stock for you guys.
All right, thank you, Bervyn. Okay, so I think the next stock that I'll be covering will be Boustead, right? Because I saw a couple of you guys were asking about Boustead as well. Serene is asking, can buy Boustead at 1.53 or take profit because you bought long ago below $1, right? And then I think Yahui, right, also asking, about UOL. Maybe I'll just cover Boustead right for now because more of you guys are asking about Boustead, and 23rd May also talk about your thoughts on Boustead, please. Okay, so maybe let's take a look at Boustead right now. All right. So for Boustead, as we can see, I think the interest for this counter really started somewhere in June. Previously, it was really pretty boring, just going sideways, not much of a movement, only somewhere in June we got a 1GT bullish signal. That's where all the 3 moving averages starts to move up, point up, and the price also headed up. So let's just see. from the first one JT bullish signal to where we are at now, that's about close to 50% from May all the way to August. Not too bad, right? Not too bad. And for Serene case, you mentioned that you bought long ago before $1. Well, I'm not too sure where you actually bought into this particular stock, right? Maybe, I don't know, 80 cents, 90 cents. Yeah, not too sure, but definitely you are sitting on more than 50% profits, right? That's great. That's great. Congrats to you, Serene. Okay, so now let's take a look at some of the levels, right? That, you know, for Boustead, especially so for some of you guys are asking about Boustead, right? But I'm not too sure whether you're already in position. If you're not, maybe you're thinking about buying. So let's just see, right? Let's just see. So first thing, right now, I mean, Boustead is trading about 1.54, right? And I don't have to talk about the longer term trend. Both red and the blue line is actually pointing up. Green line was actually pointing up, right? Since June, pointing up. But right now, it's kind of started to flatten out, right? And over the past month, you know, since mid of July to where we are at, we can actually spot one of the very key support level, right? That would be about this $1.50, right? This level right over here, because this was where, you know, price actually broke above it, right? And then the next couple of days after it broke above it, it was testing this level for a few days, right? And buyers came in, pushed prices up, then came back down, and once again, right over here, right? Somewhere at the start of August, it actually retested this 150 again. So I would say 150 is one of the levels that, you know, support levels that perhaps you might want to watch out for. Okay, and in terms of resistance, very clearly is at this $1.65 lah. This level right over here, right? This $1.65. So support and resistance we have already established, right? And with that, you know, we can potentially, you know, look at what are the potential buy zones and also the potential sell zones to perhaps take some profits, right? So I would say the potential buy zones that we are looking at, right, definitely, you know, would be around this level right over here, right, near the 150 level, right? Because this is near the support level, right? And you want to buy near a support level, especially so when the stock is actually still in an uptrend. And you know, for Serene, right? You know, if let's say prices is actually able to hold like this and consolidate, push higher before it actually break the 165, right? I think if you are considering to actually take some profits along the way, there is nothing wrong for you to take some profits near this $1.65, especially so when it is near a resistance level. Okay, and maybe let me just turn on this trailing support and resistance function as well, because I realized I have not turned it on today. Okay, so let me just turn on and take a look. All right, so when I turn it on, as you can see right over here, currently price, is it above the trailing support? Yes, right? And as price moves up, this trailing support also moves up, right? It moves up along with the prices, right? And like what Joey explained earlier on about trailing support, it actually accounts for the stock volatility, giving it room to breathe. So I feel that as long as, you know, the price, right, is actually holding above the trailing support, nothing, not much of an issue lah, not much of an issue. As long as it's holding above the trading support, right, I think it is still pretty much still okay, because the longer term trend is actually still heading up. And like you see right over here, right, at the start of August, that's where, you know, prices came back down, and then it is actually near the trading support. That's where, you know, we want to actually accumulate some positions at this type of levels, right? These are the types of zones and levels that we want to monitor and watch out for to actually take some action. Okay. So for Serene, I hope that helps for Boustead. Very quick one. Some of the levels that you can actually take note of. And if you would like to take some profits near the resistance, no problem. All right. So that would be for Boustead. I'll pass the time back over to Joey to actually cover the next stock.
Okay, let's move on to the next one very quickly. And that would be what Madeline is asking, right? Madeline, sorry, let me just click on this over here. Madeline, cool, hope you're here, right? Can help with UMS and Frencken. So I'll just choose one. I'll choose one, all right? To hold or sell is bought at 142 and 150. AEM bought at 220, can average for so many. So UMS, Frencken, AEM, I would say these are some of the technology stocks in the Singapore market, right? So we have seen a bit of strength in the US market for tech sector, but a bit of profit taking have come back. So I'll just focus on Frencken, right? This one of it that you asked, right? Frencken. So this is Frencken right here. And we have been talking about Frencken, in fact, since like the early part of the year, February, March. You can see, right? We actually got two bullish signals come out in April after the Trump introduced tariffs. And it was not all rosy and bullish and stuff, right? In fact, if you ask me last year, the longer term trend was actually down. Look at the red and the blue line. Red going down, blue line going down, red below the blue. So longer term trend was down. We never want to buy a stock whereby the longer term trend is down. So I think Bervyn has mentioned just now a bit on Wilmar, right? I mean, like we don't want to buy a stock whereby it's like going down every other day, then you go and buy some more, you dollar cost average, all right? Go down, you buy, go down, you go and buy some more. And then you go down, and then you cannot start, right? So we don't do that, right? We never want to buy a stock where it's going down, right? That is not the one good trend strategy mindset. The one good trend strategy mindset is to only buy when there are signs of a reversal, all right? Or a stock that is already strong in an uptrend. Does it make sense? All right. So that's exactly what we saw, right? So it was very bearish, I would say, last year, right? And not just the long-term trend is down, you got also bearish signal, Wow, bearish signal, go down some more, bearish signal, right? Go down, right? From 160, go down until 90 cents. You go and buy for what, right? When you got bearish signal plus long-term trend down. Does it make sense? You only want to get in when there are signs of a reversal. So when did that come? Well, two, not one, but two 1GT bullish signals actually appeared, right? The longer term trend started to turn a bit sideways. However, the short-term trend, the green line, right, that was going down, this green line that was going down, right, down, somewhere in May started to turn up, all right, as the bullish signals actually appeared, right? Up, flat, up. Now let's see what is happening. So you can see that the green line actually started to flatten out as we form a bit of a short-term consolidation. And I've quickly turned on the 1GT Pro indicator in terms of the bullish and bearish signal, right? So you can see, right? So I've on, off, all right? And there we go. And you can see today, right now. Yeah, today, son, right now, 15 August. There is a new 1GT bearish signal coming out. So back to your question, Madeline, right? To hold or sell, all right, for Frencken, right? I mean, if you've gone in over here, I don't know, let's say you've seen the bullish signal, $1 or what, and you've gone in over here and you see a bearish signal, I would say to get out, don't need to be greedy. I mean, how many percent? Let's take a look, right? For example, all right, you see a bearish signal, let's say you get out today, all right, 56%, okay, right? 56% in 4 months. I think it's okay to take some profit, get out, if you see a bearish signal, because that's where potentially we may see some weakness in the short term. Does it make sense? Right. So I think for you got in, Madeline, maybe a bit later, all right, about $1.50, 150. So maybe at this point in time when it was going up, all right, heading towards the 170 resistance, so slightly higher. So what we do is that, whenever we get a bearish signal, it is a sign of weakness. So we could use that as a plan, right? Use that as a plan to get out. The things that you don't want to hold all the way down when there's short-term weakness, right? Why are we seeing short-term weakness or a bearish signal out? Well, essentially, let me go to turn on the trailing support, right? Over here. So when the bullish signal appeared, right, from here, follow. Well, finally, today, we went below the trailing support. And this trailing support also coincides with the $1.50 psychological level. All right. And I mean, obviously, we went below. I mean, okay, the market has not closed yet. Now it's 12:13 p.m. In fact, now it's lunchtime, right? But the market has not closed yet. So I don't know whether tonight, 5 p.m., whether it will be this. But if we stay below, if we stay below 150, all right, we go to now it's what, 147, below 150. So we go below 150. And tonight, at 5 p.m., we close at 148, 147, 145, 146, 114 something, basically below 150. Then I can tell you that is where this 1GT bearish signal will stay. All right, and that would be where I think you want to we could see some selling pressure coming back in the short term, especially if this green line, now the green line is like up, right? Then now flat a little bit because we are consolidating over the past 1-2 weeks, right? But if this green line also start to like that, and then plus got bearish signal, and then why do you want to hold all the way down? Does it make sense? All right, like for example, like over here, look at this, right? We got a bearish signal and the green line point down. You can see we went from like $1.10 go until 90 cents. Does it make sense? I'm not saying that you will be like that, but what I'm trying to say is that when we get confirmations whereby there's some bearishness coming back, we got a bearish signal, the short-term trend has turned down, we normally want to have a plan to get out, take some profit, especially if you've gone in over here, 55%, take it, get out, wait for a re-entry to come back in. Why would we even think about a re-entry? Well, because the longer-term trend is actually still up. Look at this, right? In fact, the longer-term trend was down last year, as I say, right? But beginning of the year, July, June, in fact, there were signs of the longer-term trend turning from sideways to now actually up. Look at the red and blue. Now opposite, the red is above the blue. So long-term trend actually is up. All right. But short-term trend, if you ask me now, a bit shaky. It's maybe down, like as I said, if we stay below 150 lah, today or maybe up to next week, right? A bit down, right? So we want to wait for re-entry, wait for the short-term trend. This green line, as I say, if we go below 150, maybe this green line will go down a bit, a bit. Maybe it flatten out here, or maybe it flatten out here, or maybe over here. I don't know, right? But once it flattens out and it start to turn back up, plus we see another 1GT bullish signal, like over here, like for example, let's say the bullish signal over here, right? You take it and then you paste it over here, all right, over here, and that would be signs of the shorter term trend turning back up, another bullish signal as a confirmation reversal. That is where you could get back in to ride the reversal again, where all the trends are pointing up, not just the longer term, but also the short term. Does it make sense, All right, so I hope that helps. I don't need to give you guys an idea of Frencken. Unfortunately, we have broken the 150, but from these two bullish signal, I would say still a 55% gain. Take some profit, get out, wait for re-entry when the time comes. Not now, probably not next week, I don't know, right? But when the time comes, when we get the confirmations, to get back in again. All right, so that is for Frencken, right? And what we could do, as I say, to wait for the bullish signal, we could set an alert. So in case, so now let me set an alert in case I forget. So we can set an alert right over here. One good trend pro indicator, buy alert, right? Buy or sell, right? Buy or sell once per bar, pump. So when the bullish signal actually appear, I will be alerted. All right, I'll be alerted, and that's where I could think about getting in again. Okay, Ken. So that is for Frencken. Let me pass on the mic to Bervyn to cover the next stock.
All right, thanks, Joey. I think let me scroll up and just see. All right, okay, so I think Kelvin hopefully is still here. Hang Seng Tech looks like it's a good entry range today. All right, okay, so let's talk about Hang Seng Tech a little bit. So we are not talking about the Hong Kong market directly, but this is an ETF that tracks the Hong Kong tech counters. All right, so right here we have Lion OCBC HSTECH. So hopefully this is the correct one. On first glance, we saw that there is two 1GT bullish signals that have actually appeared very, very recently. One is in July, one is 3 days ago in August. Right, so prices have broken and held above that 875 level. Let me just change that to green at this point. And it looks like, as of today, it is still holding above the 875 level. But I think in the nearer term, Kelvin, I think you can see that there is a little bit of a profit taking that came in as prices approached that 92 cents level. So I think this, as long as prices are able to hold above the 875, yes, we could see a little bit of a range bound trading. However, longer term trend or the medium term trend in this sense, the 100 days moving average, has started to point down a little bit, although that 200 days moving average is still pointing up at this point alongside that 20 days moving average. So I think the next step, if we are able to see prices move a little bit sideways or maybe break above that 92 cents level, yes, definitely that 100 days moving average will then start to point up as well. Then we have a further confirmation, I would say, that all three moving averages are pointing up, and there is another or the longer term uptrend is firming up at this point. But if that 92 cents level is broken, I would definitely say that $1 psychological resistance still stands as well, and that could be your next target. So let me very quickly turn on that trailing support and resistance right now. We can see that prices have came close to that trailing support once, I think earlier this month, came quite close, I think on the 12th of August, and right now we are still holding above that trailing support. So I think as long as prices are able to hold above this trailing support, I think this Hang Seng Tech ETF can continue to head higher. But so here's the thing. Just realize that this is an ETF as well. This is an ETF as well. So that is trading on the Singapore exchange on SGX. But the 1GT Pro indicator will still work on it, and the 1GT framework will definitely work on it as well. So like Z have mentioned, there is a 7-point checklist. So I think Joey's running the last webinar, I think next week. So I think if you have not tried out the 1GT Pro indicator, or you have not tried out the 1GT indicator, or you wish to find out a little bit more about it, I think you can actually sign up for that webinar that Joey is having next week. So I think for Hang Seng Tech ETF, I think you can continue to watch as long as we start to see prices break above that 92 cents. You can adopt a more aggressive trading plan to have a a breakout strategy if prices hold above that 92 cents level. All right, Kelvin. So passing the time now to Z to cover the next stock for us.
All right, thank you, Bervyn. Okay, so let me just share my screen. Okay, so I think the last stock that I'll be covering today will be Centurion, right? So Lam is actually asking, please analyze Centurion, looking to buy Hong Leong Asia as well. I understand that, we, like what Joey mentioned, we have a lot of stocks today. So please forgive us if we did not manage to cover all of them, right? But make sure to come and join us again, in the following week for the Singapore stock again. If, we didn't manage to cover your stocks, then hopefully by then we actually will be able to cover your stocks, all right? So let me just very quickly dive into Centurion right now. And this stock, as you guys know, if you guys are already a client of Joey, this stock has been a darling stock now because it has been in our watch list for quite a while, right? And as you can see, the uptrend is pretty much still intact and pretty much firm for this counter, right? Longer term uptrend rate and the blue line is actually still pointing up, and the green line is pointing up, but it has started to flatten out, right? And we are seeing some signs of resistance, right? Especially so we also see a 1 GT bearish signal. But like what I mentioned earlier on, right, 1 GT bearish signal, if we see it right over here, don't panic, right? Because the thing is that it doesn't mean that the stock will crash. It just means that there's more selling pressure. But over the past couple of weeks, after the 1 GT bearish signal came out, prices pushed back down, right? Selling pressure came in, pushed the price back down to this 160, right? So I would say 160 will be currently, I think that will be the immediate support level. And then it actually rebounded back up very quickly, and it hit back up to the 180 resistance, right? And we can see that if I were to zoom in, right, it has actually in fact been testing this $1.80 resistance for at least since July, middle of July, right, all the way to where we are at now, right? So in terms of price action, right, prices have been testing the 180, and in fact, if you were to take a look at it even closer, right, maybe just like the past 2 to 3 weeks, right, since the end of July, we can kind of like spot maybe even a new higher support at about this 170 level right over here, right? Because this was where you see buying pressure came back in to actually support the prices. So I would say in terms of temporary resistance, we are spotting new higher temporary resistance above the 160, right? Somewhere about the 170 over the past couple of weeks, So I think for this stock, long-term trend still looks up. Short-term trend could be a bit weak at this point in time. Maybe not much momentum yet because we are seeing a 1 GT bearish signal and 20 days moving average is, just heading sideways. So I think for this particular stock, definitely what I want to monitor for, number one, would be for prices to actually break and hold above the 180. Not just break, but must be break and hold above, okay? So you can see right over here, it did break, but did it hold above at the middle of July? No, it didn't, right? And then it actually came back down. So what I want to monitor is for it to break and actually really hold above the 180 before we are able to see, more interest returning back to this counter. And the potential upside target for that, I think we are actually looking at, the $2, which is number one, a psychological level. And number two, it is based on this range that we are seeing, and then it is a simple projection upwards. All right. So that would be a very quick one for Centurion, right? So the thing is that don't have to rush in, because I think for now, maybe what I would do, like I already set my price alert over here. What potentially you can also do is, add this counter into your watch list and also set some price alert right over here, right? Like what I said, if prices can break and hold above the 180, then I think we might see more interest returning back to the counter, and potential upside targets would be towards the $2 psychological level. All right. So that would be for Centurion. And right now, I think I'll pass the time back over to Joey to actually kickstart to share our bonus stock for today.
All right, thank you so much, Z. All right, so yes, that's it, guys. I think we have covered a total of 15, right? 15 stocks, right? 15 stocks today. Let me just go to name all the stocks very quickly. So in case you miss any of the stocks, you can watch the replay. That'll be on my YouTube channel, right? So the very first stock we covered was Propnex, Samco Industry, Capland, Ascendas REIT, IFAST, SETS, ST Engineering, Zhejiang, YZJ Financial Holding, right? DBS, SIA, Food Empire, Wilmar, Boustead, Frencken, Lion OCBC, HSTECH, Centurion that Z just covered. So that's a total of 15 stocks today, guys. We have done our best. As I say, guys, apologies if we cannot cover all the stocks that you guys are asking about. I just did a quick count, more than 60 over stocks, guys. So sorry, we really do have time to cover everything. It'll probably take 10 hours, all right? But thanks for staying all the way to the end, because right now, as promised, we are going to go through the bonus stocks that you guys, that we're going to share with you guys, that you could put in your watch list for potentially more upside. So these are some of the stocks that we have been covering it. We did share out notes to our clients in Philips Securities, to our graduates as well. And, they have gone up a little bit, but there could still be more upside. And you want to put in your watch list, right? And we want to go in to analyze it, maybe turn on the 1GT Pro indicator to see what it says. So the very first stock I'd like to share with you guys would be this company called CNMC Gold Mine. In fact, some of you are asking about it, right? VC is still holding CNMC Gold Mine with profit. Congrats. I'm going to cover it right now. So in case we have not covered your stock, maybe yours is the bonus one. That's why we keep to the end. We don't want to cover 2 times, right? So maybe Bervyn and Zee never cover, your one never cover, maybe Bervyn and Zee, that is the bonus one. So make sure you stay all the way to the end to see if is it the bonus one. Then you'll be very happy, right? Because it's a positive thing, right? Okay. So CNMC Gold Mine, I think VC was asking about it. You're holding on to it. Maybe it can go up higher if you take profit or not. One more, I think Joel Ng also asking, CNMC Gold Mine has good results and hit 61 cents, all-time high. Now 63, it went up a bit more, right? Is it advisable to enter into it and not miss the boat sailing away? All right, very good question. We'll go ahead to dive into it. So right now, this is CNMC Gold Mine. So you can see that for CNMC Gold Mine, in fact, as I say, for our clients in Philips Securities, right, we sent out a note to them. I'm not too sure exactly when, but maybe somewhere in July, end of July, I think maybe 24th of July, 1st of August, somewhere over here, right, or over here, just before it really started to move up. Check your WhatsApp, guys, for those of you who are client of mine. Just do a quick search, CNMC search, then you can find your ID, right? I think somewhere over here, we sent out a note, 43% in about a month, right? So if you want to get some of those ideas much faster, right, daily, as I say, guys, check out the link, is right in the chat again. Find out how you could get ideas like this so that, to capture 40% gains, right, by just looking at our idea on WhatsApp. We have a short description, a chart image, targets drawn and stuff, right, just to guide you a little bit on what stocks to actually focus on. So the link is right in the chat, especially, as I say, if you're trading, you need a trading account, right? So if you have a trading account somewhere, right, but you don't get any service from your own broker, right? Nobody send you anything at all. You don't know who the person is, right? Yeah, the link is right in the chat. Check it out. Get some of those services, some of top ideas by WhatsApp daily for free. Just want to be very 100% clear, for free at no additional cost, no extra cost, same. All right, it's the same as whatever you pay when you're trading anyway, right? But the question is that, is your broker doing anything, all right? So that is for some of the services we provide as a client. So let's talk about CNMC Gold Mine right now, right? I want to turn on the 1GT Pro indicator, right, in terms of the bullish and bearish signals, right? So very quickly, you could see that, well, in a click of a button, we got a 1GT bullish signal actually come out in April, right? So when we got the 1GT bullish signal coming in April, well, it went up a little bit, right? But it was actually quite boring because you can see the green 20 days moving average line that was going up, went sideways from May until June, until July. So for like 2-3 months, very boring, right? Very boring, right? But the longer term trend was still up. Look at the red and blue line was still up. So long term trend up, short term trend boring, all right? But what happens, right? Well, we got an alert based on, the 1GT Pro indicator based on this second. So this is the first one, right? So this is the second 1GT bullish signal coming out. And that's why we want to give a bit more meaning, because the first one is like more like a reversal. The second one, pump, right? That's where we are attempting to push higher, all right? And there we go, right? We alerted our clients as well. Of course, our graduates, some of them might have access to this 1GT Pro indicator as well, all right? They can check it out. But after that, after this bullish signal, obviously the green line that was very boring for 3 months started to turn up. Is it still pointing up? I think it's still pointing up. Does it make sense? This 1GT bullish signal is still in place. So in fact, I think we have gone up a little bit higher today. Just now actually was only 605 now become 635. You see, wasted. Never mind. Anyway, it went up a bit already. Okay, so I think it still looks good above this new support level. What could be the support level? Well, support level used to be about 50 cents, right? That was where we consolidated below it. We notified our clients. We broke 50 cents. Clients were notified as well. I think support would have been risen right now to around that 55, and we're pushing away from 55, maybe even breaking above that 60 cents level as well. Look at this, right? I think 60 cents. So today we kind of like went below that 60 cents level. So 60 cents would be what we call a new horizontal support level, right? So let me just remove all these lines. There's a horizontal support level. But if you can turn on the trailing support level to see what it says, right? Whereby we give the stocks the space to breathe, to move, right? Let's take a look. Well, the trailing support level that has been following it from April, I think it was when the trailing support popped up, it was like 30 cents, 30 cents, follow, until now become 56 cents, right? Obviously, the price is still above it, right? This trailing support is around that 55, 56 cents. Does it make sense so far? So I think it looks pretty okay as long as we stay above that 55 or maybe above 60 cents. There could potentially still be more legs to this rally. Targets could be revised even higher. What could be the potential target? Well, we could kind of do a little bit of a projection from the previous consolidation range. Look at this, right? That was where it was consolidating for about 3 months. You project it upwards. I would say maybe all the way, all right, assuming 60 cents will be the new support level, right? All the way to around that 70 cents, right? 70 cents could potentially be a near-term target, right? Near-term target whereby some selling might happen. So I would like, as I say, right, I would like to see a bit of consolidation, a bit of profit taking, move sideways for a while. Pump, we break 70 cents and we start pushing higher. And that's where targets could be revised even more. All right. So this is CNMC Gold Mine. So Joel, we have asked about this stock. In fact, that was a bonus stock. I want to keep to the end. I think it still looks good. All right. We have got a bullish signal coming out about a month back. All right. But it's pushed a little bit higher, even though it's a little bit more expensive. There could still be more, potential momentum, right, building to push it even higher. All right, so that's where you could ride it further, take steps to protect your profits as it moves even higher. Okay, so that is CNMC Gold Mine. Let me pass on the mic to Bervyn, all right, to share his bonus stock. Hopefully, it's one of the stocks that you guys were actually asking about. Bervyn, back to you.
Thanks, Joey. Okay, so actually, it's one of the stocks that I think one of you guys have also asking about, which is Yangzijiang Shipbuilding, right here. So just let me throw it up onto the screen. All right, okay, so we have Yangzijiang Shipbuilding as my bonus stock for today, this Friday as well. Why are we having this as a bonus stock, or why are we looking deeper into this stock? It's because there are signs that we could be back to where we were in February, or we are somewhere back we were back then in February before prices actually sold down due to tariff news as well, or impending port fees as well. Right now, prices are just trading under that $3 level. We are at 290 as of market break, but we have two new 1GT bullish signal, or two 1GT bullish signals that are still in play, that have appeared in May and sometime in July as well. Moving averages are showing signs of strength, where the reversal is still in play, as that 100 days moving average is, although it's still under that 200 days moving average, it is pointing up and is looking to cross that 200 days moving average. 200 days moving average is also sloping up slightly, but the point here is that that 20 days moving average is definitely showing signs of momentum, as prices broke above that 270 support, 270 resistance level now turned into a support. Although, yeah, prices are a little bit closer towards that $3 psychological resistance. What I'm looking at it here right now is if we are able to see actually prices break above that $3 level, we could see another 1GT bullish signal coming in, making that 3 1GT bullish signals. And definitely, in Joey's words, there could be a next leg into that uptrend as well. So if that $3 level is broken, let's do a little bit of forecasting right here. We can see that the next target level would be closer to that $3.30 level. So let me just turn on that trailing support and resistance here and change this to green. We can see that, yes, that trailing support is right around that 260 level. So if you guys are currently already holding on to some Yangzijiang Shipbuilding positions, you may want to protect some profits while continuing to ride that uptrend. However, it is also completely okay, I must say this, completely okay to take some profits close to that $3 level, because this was where prices has sold down from sometime in February. So it is completely normal to see selling to come back closer to that $3 level as well. or what we are actually looking out for would be that breakout trade, that breakout strategy where if prices can break above that $3, that momentum can continue. So I think you can set up some alerts, or you should set up some price alerts if prices break above that $3 level. So maybe 301, you want to set up some alerts, maybe even 302, 305, you can set up some alerts as well. So I'm setting up my alerts at this point. So I think Yangzijiang Shipbuilding can come back or should be back into your watch list after that sell down in February. All right, so I think that is my bonus stock, Yangzijiang Shipbuilding. I'll pass the time now to Z to cover her bonus stock and the last stock for this AMAS today. Z?
All right, thank you, Bervyn. Okay, so before I actually share my screen, right, I hope Eunice and Joy Peace is actually still here, because the thing is that the last bonus stock that I'll be sharing today will be Singtel, right? Because I saw Eunice asking about Singtel earlier on, and Joy Peace is also asking about Singtel, right? So let's take a look at Singtel right now. All right. Okay, so for Singtel, this stock has been in an uptrend, and these are some of the charts, right, that I usually like to look out for, especially when it is a very classical textbook uptrend and it's very sustainable one. Because some things that you can spot, right, will be things like that. It looks like a ladder. Go up, sideways, go up, sideways, go up, sideways, go up, sideways. These are those uptrends, right, that are really very beautiful in terms of a chart wise, and also in terms of price wise, because the uptrend is sustainable, which makes it the likelihood of the trend, right, still being up, right, is still higher, especially so when we get confirmation from things like the moving averages, whereby the red and the blue line is actually still pointing up, right? The green line, I mean, occasionally, like what I've mentioned earlier on, right, sometimes there will be weakness, right? It can go sideways for a bit, go up, go sideways, go up, go sideways. The short term sometimes will still fluctuate, but overall, longer term trend for Singtel definitely still looks great, right? It has been pointing up for the red and the blue line. And not just that, right? Not just having a classic textbook, up sideways ladder movement. And also, apart from the moving averages, right, from the 1GT bullish signal, what do we see? We don't just see one, but we actually see three 1GT bullish signal, right? The first one actually came out somewhere end of January, right? 28th of January. This is the very first one, followed by one in July, and the other one in the start of August, right? And right now, where are we at? Right, so right now we are trading at about $4.10, right? And I think this stock has been one of the stocks that Joey has also shared very recently in his WhatsApp broadcast to all of our VIP clients, right? And it seems like price now is actually right now is trading, or it is in fact testing the $4.10 resistance. If you ask me today whether will it break, tomorrow whether will it break, I don't know, right? I don't know whether will it break this 410. But what I can say is that if price is able to break and hold above this $4.10, then potentially we might see more upside to this counter, right? And the thing is that the question is upside to where, right? If prices is actually able to break and hold, the potential upside targets that we are looking at is towards the $4.30. And how do we actually get this $4.30? Very simply, based on this range that it has been trading for, since when July all the way to August, right, for about a month, right, within this range right over here, about 20 cents range. So if I were to project it up, I think the next upside target that we are looking at will be towards the $4.30, provided that if price is actually able to break and hold above the 410 first, right? Definitely must be break and hold above 410, so that we are actually able to find a new higher support. Because as you can see, if we look back a couple of months back, price actually 360 was the resistance, right? And then it actually break and managed to hold above it. Prices came back down, test above it, still holding above it, and then it consolidated sideways for a bit before it actually break the 390 resistance, and then consolidated a bit as to where we are at right now, right? So the thing is that if prices consolidate and break even higher, consolidate, break even higher, that's where we actually find new higher support, and that is also what makes the uptrend more sustainable. Okay. So for Singtel, I think first off, definitely, I'll be watching for prices, right, being able to break and hold over the 410. So maybe let me just set some price alert. All right, right click, add alert. Then perhaps I could set a couple of alerts, right? Maybe 412, that will be one. Then let me add another one. Maybe 413, another one, and also maybe 414, right? Let me add another one at 414 as well. right? So that will actually alert me if price is actually able to break and hold above it, right? Especially, so I want to monitor, if price break is one thing, but whether can it hold above it, that's another thing, right? That's where I want to monitor and take a look at this stock to decide, whether it could potentially be a breakout strategy that we are actually looking at, right? Because if price is able to hold above it, what does it tell you? 410 has turned to what will become a new higher support, right? And like what I mentioned earlier on, we always want to buy near a support zone, right? So if 410 has turned to become a new higher support, potentially this is where we can actually position ourselves for entry, all right? And in terms of upside targets, like what I have mentioned, towards the $4.30 based on the 20 cents projection range, and this is where we can actually potentially set price alert to take some profits as well. Don't have to take full profits. Partial profit also work, right? Put some money in your pocket and continue to let the trend run. Especially so, we still see that the moving averages, right, and the trend, right, is actually still intact. Okay, so that will be one from me, Singtel. I still like this stock a lot. Definitely still in my watch list, and these are some of the levels that you can actually take note of as well. All right, so that would be it, and I'll pass the time back over to Joey to actually close off today's session.
All right, thank you so much, Z. All right, so yes, I think guys, we have pretty much come to the end of today's Ask Me Any Stock Singapore session, right? So we have used what we call the One Good Trend Pro indicator to analyze the bonus stock, right? Z covered Singtel, right? I covered CNMC Gold Mine, and Bervyn covered Yangzijiang Shipbuilding. And so all the stock that you guys asked as well, right? How many of you feel that this 1GT Pro indicator is pretty powerful? Every time you get a bullish signal and then it starts moving up. Type P, guys, type P for powerful. If you feel that this 1GT Pro indicator is pretty powerful, all right, such that every time you get a bullish signal, it starts pushing up to guide you to get in. Type P for powerful. Let us know, right? How many feel that this is pretty powerful, all right? And maybe you get a bearish signal and then you want to be careful because it starts coming down, right? Type P for powerful, guys. You feel that it's pretty powerful. Energized mood, P, Helen as well. Thank you so much. Powerful. Very good, right? So, yeah, CNMC Gold Mine, say right over here. We got a bullish signal, still being powerful, still pushing higher, potentially even more upside, right? Thank you so much. PPP, Ian. All right, yeah, Ian, you asked about CNMC, right? Awesome, right? Ian over here, powerful. Vincent, thank you so much as well. So as I say, guys, if you want to understand a little bit more about the entire One Good Trend strategy, like for example, we have Helen, CNMC, bought at 0.485 upon receiving of the WhatsApp. Oh, so thank you so much, Helen. I think you're a client of mine in Philips Securities. That's why you received the WhatsApp, right? So very good. So as I say, guys, one final call, right? If you are trading in Singapore, I mean, you have a trading account and you don't get any ideas from your own broker, nobody WhatsApp you, nobody send you any email, idea, video, nothing, all right? Find out how we can become a client of mine in Philips Securities, like many of our clients over here, to get some of those ideas much faster so that, you can kind of write it faster than when we share on a live call when it got up a bit already. Does it make sense so far? All right, so the link is right in the chat. And one more thing, right? If you want to find out, right, as to the entire One Good Trend strategy, right? The entire One Good Trend strategy, then what you want to do is to go ahead to attend one of those free webinar, right? Free webinar. The link is right in the chat again. Next Tuesday, 19th of August. Let me just go ahead to confirm. 19th August, right? 19th August, right over here. Yes, 7:30 p.m. We are going live on Zoom, all right? And I'll be sharing with you guys my One Good Trend strategy, right? So go ahead to register for this free webinar, and that's where we'll dive into more details, right, on the 1GT Pro indicator and the step-by-step framework, right? Step-by-step framework that I think all of you want to know to really understand how to write gains, right? Maximize your profits in an uptrend, and also know when to get out when the time comes, all right? Not just hold blindly all the way, right? You don't know when to get out as well, because getting in is easy, but getting out is key, all right? And that's what you want to do to take steps to manage that. All right, Ken. So, yep, I think we have pretty much come to the end. So next, I would say next Friday. So next Friday, so today, right? Today is AMAS Singapore, all right? Next Friday, we'll be back to the US market, and that would be on the 22nd of August. So make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button, follow our Facebook as well if you have not yet done so. All right, hit the like and share button. That will really help out the channel as well. I will see you guys, me and Bervyn and Zee will see you guys live next Friday on our US Ask Me Any Stock session. All right, so thank you so much, guys. I think we've pretty much come to the end, and have a good weekend. Have a good weekend. Anything to add, Bervyn and Zee?
All right, thanks guys for actually joining us today. Really happy to have you guys here with us, and I think I look forward to seeing you guys again the next session. And for those, like we mentioned, those that we didn't manage to cover today, really sorry, because there's too many stocks, right? But I hope to see you guys in the following week for the Singapore session as well. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye, everyone. See you. Have a good weekend. Take care. Bye bye.